Chapter 29:30. In everyone's eyes, Zichen stood there, motionless. Lightning flashed on his body, exuding a tyrannical aura. No one knew whether Zichen's condition was good or bad, so they stood in the distance and did not dare to go forward to check. At this moment, no one knew the shock in Zichen's heart. He actually saw the lightning ball using the 9 passing thunderbolts. It was the fastest speed in the world, and only the Thunder Clan could do it. Was this lightning ball related to the Thunder Clan? Whoosh! He slashed with the long saber in his hand again, and the golden saber light cut through the sky, carrying a powerful aura. Bang! The saber light missed its target. Zichen's figure shook, and his body flew out diagonally. The soul light on the surface of his body became dim at this moment. The lightning ball stood where he was before, and lightning surrounded his body. Too fast! He was extremely shocked as he flew out. At this moment, the lightning ball not only used the 9 passing thunderbolts, but also suppressed him in speed. The long saber in his hand slashed horizontally, and the saber light flashed across the sky. His soul power was constantly consumed, but he could not hit the lightning ball even once. On the contrary, Zichen was hit by the lightning ball again and again, and then flew back again and again. Flying back again, Zichen gritted his teeth fiercely. Buzz! A divine light appeared. It was the sky-piercing magic needle, which was completely simulated by the soul. It flew toward the lightning ball. Whoosh! The lightning disappeared, and the sky-piercing magic needle pierced through. It still missed. The lightning ball was getting faster and faster, even faster than the sky-piercing magic needle. Damn it, what the hell is this? Zichen cursed. The void trembled again, and the 8 saber ancestors' steels appeared. In this soul world, this was still a simulated attack, and after it appeared, it formed the saber domain. In the domain, the pressure rose sharply, and the lightning ball slowed down slightly. Zichen entered the domain, holding the long saber in his hand. Boundless soul power was injected into the long saber as energy at this moment, and the saber light became stronger and stronger. The soul aura burst out. Buzz! Zichen drew his saber, and his spiritual light flickered. Then, 8 strands of saber intent fell from the saber ancestor's steel floating in his domain. This move was the same as it was in the outside world. The only difference was that it was simulated using soul force. This was a soul attack. With a slash of the saber, boundless pressure was generated. The speed of the lightning ball was reduced again, and it was locked in place by the saber light. The ball of lightning no longer tried to escape and turned into a human form. However, it was very small, like a newborn baby. However, the aura on his body was incomparably tyrannical. He stood there as if he was the master of the world. With an indifferent expression, he stared at Zichen and said coldly, "You think you can destroy me?" The other party was very short, like a newborn baby. When he said such words with a serious face, the scene should be very funny and cute. However, Zichen did not feel this way. He felt an endless pressure in his heart. The other party punched. A small fist flickering with electric light landed on the saber. These 2 attacks did not match at all. Logically speaking, the saber light should not only crush this small fist but also cut the other party's body in half. However, the result was... boom! The saber light shattered, and the entire saber domain started to tremble. Horror appeared on Zichen's face. He did not expect the ball of light that turned into a human form to be so terrifying. Again! However, Shaochen was not weak either. He had a perfect soul. In his spiritual world, the perfect soul was the true master. Another saber fell. At the same time, the heaven-connecting divine needle appeared and shot at the other party. When the 2 attacks were flying forward, Zichen's hands flashed with light. Yin-yang energy appeared. This was still not the true yin-yang energy. It was simulated by soul force. This was the master of the spiritual world. Here, he could simulate any external attack. The yin-yang energy merged and turned into a yin-yang thunder lotus. This should be one of Zichen's strongest attacks. Usually, such an attack could end a battle. The saber domain trembled, and the saber light shattered again. The small figure in front burst out with horrifying power. After destroying the saber light with a punch, he shattered the heaven-connecting divine needle with another punch. Go! At this moment, the yin-yang thunder lotus color turned extremely dark. It flew forward. After seeing the yin-yang thunder lotus, the lightning figures in different expression turned slightly serious. However, he did not stop. He charged forward and punched. The lightning fist illuminated the surroundings and landed on the yin-yang thunder lotus. The thunder lotus, which was already unstable, exploded at this moment. The lightning figure was drowned in the energy of the explosion. Zichen's eyes were filled with indifference. This attack was already very powerful, and it was one of his most powerful attacks. His opponent did not dodge, and instead, charged forward recklessly. The most powerful attack of the Thunder Lotus would land on him. Amid the rumbling of the energy, a figure flew out. Seeing the lightning figure, Zichen's expression changed. He was very surprised. Not only did the other party not die, the light on the surface of his body only dimmed slightly. How is this possible? Just as Zichen was shocked, he saw the other party turn around and fly towards the barrier of the domain. When he reached the barrier, he clenched his fist and punched. Lightning flashed on the surface of his body, releasing a violent aura. This was a different kind of lightning. Zichen suspected that it came from outer space. Boom! When the punch landed, the barrier trembled and twisted violently. Boom! When the second punch landed, the 8 saber ancestors' steels were shaken out. They trembled in the sky, creating ripples. Boom! When the third punch landed, the domain trembled violently and exploded. Even the saber ancestors' steels that were manifested by the soul shattered. When the domain was forcibly shattered, Zichen's aura immediately weakened. The lightning figure turned around and his cold eyes fell on Zichen. The light on Zichen's body dimmed. He had used up a lot of his soul power. However, in the next moment, the golden light on his body shone again. His previously weakened aura became strong again. It was as if his previous consumption had been completely replenished at this moment. The lightning figure's cold eyes flickered. Without hesitation, his body flashed, and he forcibly left Zichen's world. Phew! Zichen, whose body was glowing with a golden light, let out a heavy breath. That tiny lightning figure was too terrifying. In his spiritual world, he felt an immense pressure. After all, this was a place of life and death. It was best not to fight here. It was naturally better for the other party to leave to the outside world. Compared to fighting in the soul, Zichen was more suitable to fight in the outside world. He opened his eyes. The lightning figure appeared in front of him. However, at this moment, the other party was no longer in the form of a small figure. He was as tall as an 11 or 12-year-old boy. The lightning surging around his body was even more terrifying. Chapter 29:31. Hearing this, Zichen was a little surprised. He then smiled and said, "Coincidentally, this is also my strength." Golden light flickered under Zichen's feet, illuminating the surroundings as he took the initiative to attack. Suddenly, lightning flashed in front of his eyes. A fist followed the lightning and landed on Zichen's body. Boom! Boundless lightning exploded on Zichen's body, sending him flying backward. As he flew backward, the sound of bones breaking could be heard. Zichen spat out blood and stopped a few hundred feet away. The others stood in the distance, not daring to come forward. They were also very surprised when they saw a light fly out of Zichen's body and turn into a young man. Immediately after, the young man sent Zichen flying and even injured him. Roy Martin and Lunk were very clear about Zichen's strength. Now that they saw Zichen being injured with a single punch, they were very shocked. Just how powerful was that young man who was emitting lightning? Drew and the others were also very shocked. However, they were not shocked by the young man's strength, but by his speed. In an instant, they would not have been able to dodge that speed at all. "In terms of speed, do you think you're my match?" The young man looked at Zichen with extreme contempt. Swish! His figure flashed, and the next time he appeared, he was already beside Zichen. At the same time, Zichen's figure disappeared. Immediately after, the young man disappeared again and reappeared behind Zichen. Zichen disappeared again, and when he reappeared, the young man was already standing behind him, striking out a powerful blow. With the sound of wind and thunder, Zichen disappeared again, and this blow missed. The young man snorted coldly and then disappeared. In the extreme speed competition, the young man's speed became faster and faster, while Zichen was clearly much slower. The spectators were very shocked because Zichen's speed was already very fast. They did not expect the young man to be even faster. Buzz! With such a clear gap, Zichen was about to be seriously injured by his opponent again. Suddenly, a strong light erupted from his body, and his speed suddenly increased. He directly appeared behind the young man. Boom! He punched out, and the lightning youth flew forward. At the same time, Zichen was also retreating. In that instant, a repulsive force came from the lightning youth. This force entered his body, and he felt his body begin to feel numb. One had to know that he was also a thunder martial artist, but he was actually paralyzed by the power of lightning. The lightning youth turned around and stared coldly at Zichen. Right now, Zichen had 12 heavenly thunder wings on his back. It was the appearance of the heavenly thunder wings that increased his speed once more. In normal battles, there was no need to use the heavenly thunder wings at all. Using this kind of extreme speed, he was the fastest in the world among those of the same level. The Thunderbolt teenager sized up Zichen and said with satisfaction, "Not bad! Other than the fact that his physical body is ridiculously weak, I am very satisfied with everything else." "You're the one! Shameless boasting!" Zichen snorted coldly. His figure flickered as he unleashed the 9 passing thunderbolts. At the same time, he unsheathed the saber in his hand. This was the true 9 Extremes weapon, not something formed from the soul. No matter how strong the other party was, it was impossible for him to shatter it. 1. The saber was unsheathed and slashed at the other party. With the heavenly thunder wings, his speed was faster than the other party, so he was not worried that this attack could not hit the target. Facing this flashing saber light, the lightning youth did not dodge. Instead, he punched out forcefully. The fist and the saber collided. With a loud bang, the saber in Zichen's hand did not shatter, but it flew out of his hand. At the same time, his body was also forcefully sent flying. How is this possible? Zichen was shocked. His all-out attack was actually neutralized by a single punch? In terms of physical body, I am the strongest in the world, the lightning youth said coldly and confidently. So, you are very suitable for me. The lightning youth took a step forward. The void trembled violently, and the lightning fist broke through the air. Zichen crossed his arms in front of him. Divine light surrounded his body, and a powerful aura burst out. The divine light lit up the sky, and the strong light formed a defense. With a loud bang, the divine light disappeared. Zichen's body was sent flying again. The light on his high-grade armor immediately dimmed. "It's a high-grade armor!" Exclamations came from afar. Drew and the others did not know how powerful Zichen was, so they could not judge the strength of the lightning youth through Zichen. But at this moment, the high-grade armor on Zichen's body was broken by a single punch, which was enough to prove the strength of the lightning youth. Zichen instantly switched between his real body and his doppelganger. He used the high-grade armor that the doppelganger had just obtained to form a defense. Otherwise, he would be injured by the punch again. After the attack, the doppelganger turned into his real body. The space around began to distort. 8 saber ancestor steels appeared, forming a saber domain. Seeing this domain, the lightning youth frowned and attacked the barrier. He did not like this domain. Swoosh! Zichen rushed forward and slashed down. 8 saber intents surrounded the saber and slashed down. The lightning youth clenched his fist and punched the air. He did not use any weapon, but his fist was more terrifying than any weapon in the world. Amidst the rumbling sound, The saber light shattered as expected, and Zichen was sent flying. Again! Zichen was not convinced. When he rushed forward again, light fell from above his head. It was the power of rules. The rules stabilized his body and slashed down. Lightning flashed on the lightning youth's body. A powerful aura was released, and the rules around him collapsed. Then, he punched again and shattered the saber. My physical body is the strongest in the world, the lightning youth said coldly. His words were full of confidence. The strongest? I don't believe it. Zichen's eyes were filled with madness. A black hole appeared in the sky. The black hole continued to expand and came down, shrouding the entire saber domain. The black hole was Zichen's world. It was his last trump card. Bringing people into his world naturally meant a life-and-death battle. It was either live or die. Those in the distance could only see the black hole that was constantly devouring. Other than that, they could not see anything. They looked at each other in dismay. As for going forward to investigate, they obviously did not have the guts. One had to know that the lightning youth's punch had broken the high-grade armor's defense. If they were to go forward, they would probably be killed with one punch. In the world, Zichen still did not withdraw the domain. The world rules could easily pass through the domain and fall on the lightning youth. What is this place? The lightning youth raised his head and looked around. There was confusion in his cold eyes. I feel the same aura as you. It must be related to you, right? Very well, you don't have to tell me. I'll slowly find out after I refine you. The lightning youth said again. Zichen said coldly. Is that so? What a coincidence. I've also taken a fancy to your physical body. My physical body is the strongest. You want to take it away? The lightning youth sneered. He looked at the barrier around him and was about to attack. Your physical body is not strong here. As Zichen's voice fell, the divine clone walked over from the other side. This time, he did not wear armor and walked straight into the domain. You're courting death. The lightning youth smiled coldly and rushed forward. Even though his speed was affected, he was still faster than the divine clone. His fist struck the avatar, and the avatar's body trembled. Its flesh and bones were separated from its body, and it turned into dust before vanishing. A skeleton flickering with divine light appeared. To read the latest novel, please visit the website. Chapter 2932. Looking at the skeleton in front of him, the lightning youth's eyes flashed with surprise. The body is not strong, but the bones are extremely hard. Seeing this scene, Zichen's heart was filled with shock. How could the body of the deity's avatar not be strong? It was at least equivalent to a 5th-grade body. He didn't expect to be separated by the opponent's fist. Moreover, the body was directly turned into powder. If it were another 5th-grade body, this blow would have disappeared. Fortunately, the deity's avatar had the heavenly god's bone. Even if the energy was lost, it was hard enough to block the opponent's attack. This was also the main reason why Zichen chose to use the world. The people outside were all Protoss, and they were all divine generals. They were very sensitive to the aura of the Protoss. If they sensed the heavenly god's bone, the consequences would be unimaginable. He still understood the principle that an innocent man would be guilty because of his wealth. Therefore, he used the world to block everything and left everything to the avatar. In the face of such an existence, only the avatar could resist. However, Zichen still had to stand guard outside. After all, this was his world, and he was the absolute master here. Those who came were guests, so he naturally had to entertain them. Light fell from the sky, and those lights were rules. There were many different rules in each light, and these rules were all related to gravity. The domain scattered, and the saber ancestor's steel disappeared. The rules fell on the lightning youth. These rules were derived from the perfect world over the years. Zichen didn't need to comprehend all of them. He was the master and could have absolute control. The rules fell on the youth, and the lightning on the surface of the youth's body became a little dimmer. A ripple of emotion appeared on his cold face. This was just the beginning, not the end. Light fell from the sky again, and there were rules in the light. This time, they affected speed. Many rules could affect speed, and all of them fell on the lightning youth. This was the hospitality of Zichen, the master of the world. The deity's avatar, which had become the heavenly god's bone, moved. He rushed forward, and there was divine light on the surface of his body, but it was not strong. The lightning youth shouted loudly, and endless lightning surged from the surface of his body, trying to shake off these negative rules. However, it was useless. The support of a world's rules was not something that could be easily broken free from. However, the light on the surface of his body became bright at this moment. His fist met the incoming heavenly god's bone. Boom! A powerful shockwave spread out with the two of them at the center. The clones slid backward, and the earth trembled. The lightning youth also retreated, and his cold expression changed. The doppelganger charged forward again and threw out another punch. The heavenly god's bones were extremely sturdy, and his attacks were endless. Pun! The energy vibrated again, and this time the lightning youth was sent flying. His physical body was indeed powerful. Even when facing the attack of the heavenly god's bone, his bones did not shatter. Zichen watched silently from the side. After arriving in his world, this battle was as good as over. No matter how strong the other party was, it was impossible for them to break through his world. What's more, he still had a divine clone in his world. He was not in a hurry to make a move. Instead, he watched silently from the side. The other party kept saying that he wanted to refine him. Little did he know that in Zichen's eyes, the other party's lightning was also very attractive to him. He also wanted to refine the other party to strengthen his body. Boom! The lightning youth was sent flying again. The light on his body became dimmer and dimmer, and the pressure he felt from the world's rules also became heavier and heavier. Die! Lightning continued to flash on his body as he released a powerful aura. He had used the 9-star steps. The rules wrapped around his body, and his speed was far from being able to keep up with the clone. The clone hit his face and sent him flying again. The lightning youth was sent flying, and his expression became colder and colder. Thunder God! He looked up to the sky and let out a loud roar. His right hand clenched into a fist, and the endless light of lightning lingered around it. A light shadow appeared behind him. The light shadow was very blurry, as if it was outlined by light. If one did not look carefully, they would not notice it. But when this blurry light shadow appeared, the lightning youth's aura suddenly erupted, and the rules that shrouded him exploded with a bang. Zichen stood in the distance, and a touch of panic emerged in his heart. At this moment, the lightning energy in his body seemed to be out of control. It began to fear, or rather, it became agitated. Was it because of that illusory light shadow? Was he really the Thunder God? But my current power is equivalent to that of a divine general. Zichen did not understand, and his heart was shocked. The lightning youth punched out, and the boundless shining fist light pierced through the surrounding space like sharp blades. Boom! There was an even more intense tremor. The earth cracked, and the mountains exploded. The world was trembling, and there were signs of destruction. The divine clone flew back thousands of feet. The heavenly god's bones in his body were not damaged, but his soul was shaken, and he fainted. After a powerful blow, the lightning youth's aura immediately became weak. He went from a powerful state to an extremely weak one. The illusory light shadow behind him disappeared. The fear in Zichen's heart also disappeared, and then he walked forward. He could feel that the lightning youth's aura had become very unstable, and his soul seemed to dissipate at any time. He walked to the youth's side. The youth looked up at Zichen and said bitterly, "You came too early. If you were a little later, you would have died." Zichen did not understand what he meant. He saw the youth's aura dissipate. His body turned into a ball of lightning again. This time, although the ball of lightning was violent, it was not aggressive, and it flew towards Zichen. Zichen reached out, and the ball of lightning fell on his hand. It kept shrinking, and finally turned into a bolt of lightning. This bolt of lightning was very powerful, and its aura was different. It disappeared in his hand. The next moment, the bolt of lightning entered his body and entered his heart through his meridians. The moment the power entered his heart, it formed a powerful suction force. The power of his physical body immediately gathered toward his heart, and his aura instantly became weak. It was as if at this moment, all the power in his body was swallowed by his heart. The next moment, his heart began to beat, and new blood emerged and gathered in his body. The power of lightning surged in his blood. It was that special power, and a powerful aura erupted from his body. Boundless lightning appeared from within and filled his entire body. The power of lightning continued to wreak havoc, making him feel as if his body was being torn apart by lightning. He looked up to the sky and roared, letting out a painful cry. The divine clone, who had fainted, was awakened by his cry. He shook his skull, and the dim soul flame burned again. The attack just now had directly knocked him out. Chapter 29:33. Everyone stood in the distance, looking at the black hole in front of them. When their gazes met, they would look at each other. The battle had continued until now, and they did not know how it was going. They did not know if Zichen was suppressing that young man. At this moment, Drew and the others no longer had any doubts about Zichen's combat strength. That young man was really terrifying. Zichen had proven that he was extraordinary by being able to fight alone until now. Roy frowned. He did not expect to encounter such a terrifying existence in such an ordinary place. Among everyone present, only Zichen had the ability to fight against such an existence. If Zichen had not come today, everyone would have died. Martin and Lunk were very anxious. The two of them had seen Zichen's strength, and had always wanted to rope him into the Legion. Not only Zichen, but Zichen's friends were also not weak. If everyone could join the team, the Legion's combat strength would increase greatly. The two of them did not want anything to happen to Zichen. After waiting anxiously for a while, the black light in front of them disappeared, and Zichen appeared from it. He stood there, his aura fluctuating between strong and weak. His face was pale, and his vitality seemed to be severely damaged. "Are you okay?" Roy walked forward. "I'm fine." Zichen shook his head. "You don't look fine." Roy came closer and looked him up and down. Zichen smiled. Roy was the first to come forward, obviously worried that the others would be disadvantageous to him in this state. Martin and Lunk came forward. Zichen's aura was indeed very weak, but there was an indescribable horror to it. Drew and the others did not come forward and continued to stand in the distance. They were shocked by Zichen's strength, but at the same time, they were very depressed. They came here with nothing and lost 5 people for no reason. It should be known that these 5 people were all 5th grade. In addition, the Legion's assessment was very strict. They did not know how long it would take to recruit them. This loss was too great. The battle was over, and there were no more opportunities here. Naturally, everyone would disperse. Martin looked at Zichen and asked, "Zichen, what do you plan to do next?" Zichen said, "Let's go back to the city first. Everyone is still waiting for me. I have to tell them that I'm safe." Martin nodded, but in the end, he didn't say what he wanted to say. Then Martin looked at Roy and said, "Roy, you." Before Martin could finish, Roy smiled and said, "Zichen doesn't look well. I'll send him back first." Martin was slightly startled, but he did not refuse and nodded. Lunk, on the other hand, let out a sigh of regret. It seemed that this time, not only did Zichen harbor a grudge, but even Roy's impression of the army had plummeted. Martin had done something bad with good intentions. "Big Brother Martin, this is the reward. Big Brother Martin deserves it." Zichen took out more than 200 heavenly beast inner cores and held them in his palm with his spatial manipulation, handing them over to Martin. Martin immediately shook his head and said, "Brother Zichen, you're treating us as outsiders." Behind him, Drew and the others did not speak, but their eyes flickered. Zichen smiled and said, "Big Brother Martin, don't refuse. I appreciate your kindness, but we can't let everyone come here for nothing, right?" As members of the army, these people naturally had to report to the army when they came out. This time, 5 people had died, and Martin had to report this matter when he returned. Regardless of whether they deserved it or not, if this time they came back empty-handed, Martin and Lunk would not be able to explain themselves when they returned. He had kept the heavenly beast's bones for Martin, but unfortunately, they had all disappeared. He could only take out about 1/5 of the heavenly beast's cores to give to the two. Martin naturally did not want to accept them, and Lunk was also determined not to accept them. "Big brothers, please accept them. I still have a lot here." In the end, the two accepted the resources. Seeing the two accept the resources, Zechen said, "Big brothers, when you're free, you can come to Baylor City to find me." "Sure." The two nodded and left. Drew and the others left with the two of them. Only Zechen and Luoyi were left here. Zechen's hand flashed, and more than 400 heavenly beast cores appeared. He sealed them together with a divine power and said, "These are yours." Luoyi smiled and said, "I don't need so many." With that, he stretched out his hand and gently drew a line in front of him. After drawing about half of the heavenly beast cores, he put them away. Zechen did not insist on giving more. He had a lot of people, so naturally, he needed more resources. "Are you really okay?" Luoyi looked at Zechen's state and frowned slightly. "Don't worry. I can fight again." The two walked out. The most important thing here was obviously that stone. After the stone disappeared, these layers of separated areas became a whole and integrated into this world. There were no more opportunities here. When the two walked out, Martin and the others had already disappeared. "This is a good harvest. It's enough to cultivate for a while." Luoyi looked ahead and said, "This kind of cultivation life is still the most desirable. Why did you suddenly not want to join?" Zechen turned to look at Luoyi. "Martin clearly told you that you passed the test. Why did you refuse?" Zechen could guess what Martin wanted to say. Lunk Sai could also explain this point. Luoyi clearly knew it too. Luoyi said, "It's boring. I feel that freedom is better. Of course, I can't deny that I was disgusted by that guy. I'm worried that if I really joined the army and met people like him, how bad would that be? Also, after joining the army, it seems that it will be very troublesome to leave." "That's true." Zechen nodded. "Do you want people in your team? Why don't you let me join your team?" Luoyi suddenly turned to look at Zechen. Zechen laughed and said, "We don't hunt Tier 5 heavenly beasts. Furthermore, if you really want to join, it's not a problem." Previously, Zechen had indeed not thought of bringing everyone to hunt Tier 5 heavenly beasts. However, this time, he had obtained hundreds of heavenly beast inner cores. He believed that it would be enough to raise everyone's physical bodies to Tier 5. If he wanted to continue growing, he would have to consider this problem. He had seen Luoyi's battle prowess. If Luoyi really wanted to join, he would be more than happy to. Then it's settled. "Do I need to take the test?" Luoyi asked with a smile. "If you can send me back safely, I'll count it as you passing the test." As Zechen spoke, a powerful aura suddenly burst forth from his body. Bolts of lightning surged out from his body. Luoyi immediately moved away, retreating far away. The lightning around Zechen's body flashed, and when it disappeared, his aura seemed to have weakened. "Are you really all right?" Luoyi stared at him and asked. From the looks of it, there shouldn't be any major problems. After the lightning energy entered his heart, Zechen's blood and chi started to flow out, absorbed by the lightning energy. At the same time, the lightning energy also flowed through his heart and into his body. This was also the reason why Zechen's aura was fluctuating between strong and weak. The energy that was being sent back was very small, but it was a new type of lightning energy, of high quality and extremely powerful. From the looks of it, it was as if he was about to be reborn. The two of them headed straight for Baylor City, and along the way they did not meet a single Tier 5 heavenly beast. Chapter 29:34. Zechen's face was still pale, and he looked very weak. He stood there motionless. Roy stood beside him and looked ahead, his expression slowly turning solemn. Buzz! With a light tremble, the ground lit up like a sharp blade piercing through the air. The surrounding space rippled as a divine formation formed, enveloping the surroundings and trapping the two of them. The two of them looked at each other. Clearly, they had encountered an ambush. Clang! 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 Light fell from the sky, turning into divine spears that pierced through the sky and flew toward the two of them with sharp whistling sounds. Roy stepped forward with a cold expression. The divine light in his body formed a defense that expanded and enveloped Zichin. The divine spears landed on the defense, causing even more ripples. Puff! 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 Who could it be? Roy looked around through the light barrier but could not see anything except the divine spears. Zichin shook his head. We'll know after we fight. That's right! We'll know after we fight! Roy laughed loudly, and the divine aura surging from his body soared once more. The light barrier around him began to expand, becoming larger and larger. The divine spears falling from the sky were squeezed into less and less space. With a loud bang, the light barrier shattered, and the divine energy contained in it scattered in all directions. Everywhere it passed, the divine spears exploded. Specks of divine light fell like thousands of raindrops, and the divine spears and light barrier disappeared at the same time. This level of formation can't do anything to us. Show yourself, Roy said indifferently. The mid-grade armor on his body releasing a strong light. There was no response from the surroundings. A tremor came from the sky, and thousands of divine spears appeared again. When these divine spears appeared, they were all fixed in the air and did not fall. The next moment, the divine spears fused together, and divine light shot out in all directions, finally turning into a single divine spear. When this fused divine spear appeared, a terrifying aura swept through the divine formation, and divine light illuminated the entire divine formation. Buzz! With a soft tremor, ripples appeared in the surroundings as the divine spear fell. A hurricane emerged from the divine formation, and the entire divine formation began to tremble. The divine spear tore through the sky and fell. Roy thrust his sword forward, and sword light soared into the sky. A rumbling sound reverberated throughout the world as a powerful wave of energy spread out in all directions. Luoyi landed beside Zichin, and the divine light on his body was still strong. In the sky, the terrifying divine spear exploded. Zichin looked at Roy. With Roy's powerful combat strength, he must be in existence on the ranking of generals in the entire god realm. He might even be ranked very high. His combat strength is indeed not weak. A cold voice sounded, and a person appeared in the air. That person was wearing armor with a blood scorpion pattern on it. Blood Scorpion Core, rank 6! Seeing this, Roy's expression changed slightly, but he remained indifferent. That person said indifferently, You're right, but you forgot to mention that the armor is of high quality. Luo Yi's expression turned ugly. As a 5th rank, he was confident that he could fight a 6th rank fighter. However, if a 6th rank fighter had a high-grade armor, it would be difficult for him to deal with him. Seeing Luo Yi's ugly expression, the 6th rank fighter from the Blood Scorpion Corps laughed. You feel trouble just because of this? Another wave of fluctuation appeared behind Roy and Zichin. It was also in existence with a 6th grade physical body. The other party's armor was also a high-grade armor. Zichin turned to look at him and said indifferently, I believe that this is not a coincidence, right? What do you think? The 6th rank fighter said. Do you think you can kill our people so casually? Whoosh! 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 Immediately after that, a few more people appeared. They were all 5th rank fighters, and there were 6 of them in total. He wondered if the Divine Formation Master was among them. What should I do? Luoyi frowned. He did not care about these 5th rank fighters, but a 6th rank fighter with a high-grade armor would be troublesome. I'll give you a high-grade armor, Zichin said with a smile. At this moment, his face was pale and he looked very weak. Shameless boasting! A cold light flashed in the eyes of the sixth-rank fighter in front of him as he charged forward. In midair, his figure stopped. A long spear appeared out of thin air, blocking in front of him. The divine avatar walked out of the darkness and swept the spear. The avatar was also wearing a high-grade armor. At this moment, the aura it emitted was very powerful. "I'll leave the fifth-rank fighters to you." After the avatar faced one of them, Zichen's real body turned and flew toward the other. At this moment, he looked very weak because most of his chi and blood had been lost. However, he was not weak at all. On the contrary, the new power gathered in his body was very powerful. He rushed toward a sixth-rank fighter and began to mobilize the power in his body. He was mobilizing pure physical power. A bolt of lightning appeared on the surface of his body, emitting a dazzling silver light and surging with a violent aura. In the past, because he had a perfect body, the power of his body was golden. However, after the special lightning power entered his body, his power turned silver. However, this silver lightning power was much more terrifying than the golden one from before. Zichen came in front of the sixth-rank fighter and clenched his fist. Silver light shot out in all directions, illuminating the surroundings. The sixth-rank fighter snorted coldly and clenched his fist to attack. The patterns on the high-grade armor lit up, providing him with extremely powerful strength. When the two strikes collided, a boom sounded from the divine array. Powerful fluctuations scattered in all directions as the entire divine array began to distort. The sixth-rank powerhouse in the high-grade armor was sent flying backward. As he flew backward, the defensive light on his body flickered and distorted crazily before shattering with a crack. A single punch broke through his defense. After the strike, Zichen looked increasingly weak, but his eyes were extremely bright as he became even more excited. This new power was clearly more terrifying than the power condensed from the perfect body. After all, the power of the perfect body came from a page of the heavenly book. It was already the highest level of power in the world, but this lightning power was even more terrifying than the heavenly book's power. Could this power really be from beyond the heavens? With such doubts in mind, Zichen continued charging forward. As he charged forward, 9 flashes of lightning reappeared. He arrived beside the sixth-rank fighter at a speed as though he had teleported. The special lightning flashed as he punched the other party in the chest. Boom! Silver light shot out in all directions, carrying boundless power as it entered his body through the armor. The high-grade armor caved in as the crisp sound of bones shattering constantly sounded. The sixth-rank divine general was sent flying backward. Pfft! As he flew backward, he coughed out blood. His aura became dispirited until it completely disappeared. Another punch to destroy the enemy. A powerful sixth-rank fighter was killed by Zichen's 2 punches just like that. When the other saw this scene, his face revealed a look of horror as he wanted to escape. Bang! A spear arrived and struck him in the chest, sending him flying. He happened to be flying in the direction of his true body. To read the latest novel without error, please visit Chapter 2935. Sensing this, the grade 6 divine general's face was full of fear. The divine light on his body twisted wildly, and his high-grade armor was pushed to the limit. Zichen appeared in front of him in a flash and punched his body. With a boom, the light of thunder exploded on his chest. The grade 6 divine general's body fell to the ground, and the defense on his body shattered as expected. After breaking the defense with 1 punch, Lu Cheng's real body did not continue to attack. He looked at his opponent in the air. The clone turned into a divine light, and went straight for the grade 6 divine general like a falling meteor. Poof! The divine spear pierced the grade 6 divine general's throat. The divine light surged into his body and destroyed his vitality. The battle was over. On the other side, the battle between Luoyi and the grade 5 divine general was coming to an end. The grade 5 divine general died one after another. The clone waved his hand and collected the grade 6 divine general's corpse. When he looked up, Luoyi had killed the last one. Impressive. Looks like you've gained a lot. Luoi said in surprise as he looked at the increasingly weak Zichen. Zichen smiled bitterly. I've used up all the strength I've accumulated over the past few days with just 3 punches. I'm really weak now, Luoi said. That's still very strong. Did you have such a technique before? Zichen thought for a moment and said, That's true. Although Zichen's physical strength was abundant, it was definitely not enough to kill a grade 6 divine general easily. Now that he had defeated 2 grade 6 divine general with just 3 punches, it was obvious that his strength was extraordinary. Moreover, Zichen's physical realm was only grade 5, not grade 6. Looks like there are still enemies that haven't been destroyed. Luoi looked up at the divine formation that was still there. His expression gradually turned cold. His sword pierced through the air, and the sword aura cut through the sky. The divine formation was split into 2 without any resistance. Looks like they ran away when things went south, Zichen said. That's true. The 2 continued on their way. Zichen's real body turned into a clone, and his real body returned to the world to recover. He could no longer use his physical technique from before. His body could not condense new strength. Therefore, he took out a grade 5 inner core and refined it, turning it into physical strength. As soon as the Niden transformed into physical strength, it was absorbed by the heart. At this moment, his heart seemed to have become a bottomless pit. Zichen opened his eyes and asked Shadowless for help. Shadowless shook his head. I've never encountered a situation like yours, so I can't help you. However, since it can devour energy and give back energy, why don't you refine more inner cores? That way, the more energy you absorb, the more energy you get back. Zichen nodded. It seemed that this was the only way. This kind of power, could it be the power of thunder from outer space? Zichen asked after a moment of hesitation. Shadowless shook his head. I don't think so. The power from beyond the heavens can't exist in this world, Zichen said again. All of this was caused by the power of thunder in my heart. Is it possible that after that power disappears, my power will return to its original golden color? That's possible, Shadowless said. When Zichen heard this, his expression turned ugly. If that was really the case, then it would be a pity. This was a power that was even stronger than a perfect body. How good would it be if it was permanent? The Avatar followed Roy in the outside world. Midway, Roy asked, Could this be a coincidence? The Avatar said, Of course not. Then who could it be? Roy frowned. Even if the Blood Scorpion army knows about this, it's absolutely impossible for them to set up an array to block our path. The Avatar's expression turned cold. Roy frowned and said, Could it be Martin? Martin and Lunk know that we're returning to Baylor City, but the others were there at that time. I believe they heard it. In that case, it's those disgusting fellows? They're already dead. There's no proof. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. Thankfully, I didn't join the army. Otherwise, I would really be disgusted. The Avatar smiled. With a flash of light in his hand, a set of high-grade armor appeared. My true body promised to give it to you. Roy was taken aback as he said, Are you serious? The Avatar said with a smile. My true body said that you've already passed the test. As a reward for joining the team, this high-grade armor is yours. Hearing this, Roy laughed loudly. He took it without hesitation and said, A high-grade armor for joining the team. This is really a good thing. It seems that it was wise of me not to join the First Army. After that, the 2 of them didn't encounter any more danger and returned directly to Baylor City. In the inn, Zichen saw everyone. After seeing Zichen, everyone was very happy. However, when they saw Roy, who Zichen brought back, they were slightly stunned. This is Roy, Zichen introduced. From now on, he'll be a member of our team. After that, Zichen introduced everyone to Roy. After hearing Ichien's name, Roy's expression changed. Just as he was about to say something, he was interrupted by a voice. Roy, right? You've joined our team. How's your combat strength? Do you want to spar a little? The monk came forward. My combat strength is okay, Roy said modestly. Zichen, who was at the side, said, You'd better not look for trouble. Luoi has a high-grade armor. High-grade armor? When everyone heard this, their expressions changed slightly. They were very surprised. The monk's eyes lit up and he said, High-grade armor? That's very powerful. Roy, how about this? Let's make a bet. The bet is a piece of high-grade armor. If you can break my defense without armor with a full-strength attack, I'll give you a high-grade armor. If you can't break my defense, then give me one. Roy was stunned. Facing the monk's enthusiastic bet, he was at a loss. Zichen laughed and scolded. You bald thief, you're really greedy. He then said to Roy, Don't bet with him. He doesn't have a high-grade armor. He's just trying to cheat you of your armor. You have to be careful of this guy. He wants to cheat all the good things. Roy was shocked. Although Zichen was reminding him, he obviously didn't think highly of his combat strength. If his full-strength attack couldn't break the opponent's defense without armor, then how strong was his defense? Roy was very surprised, but he didn't show it on his face. He smiled and said he wouldn't bet. The monk was very sorry about this. Su Mengyao asked Zichen what he had encountered this time, and whether it was dangerous. Zichen briefly explained what had happened. When everyone heard about the prehistoric site, they were very surprised. After that, Zichen took out the inner cores he had obtained and distributed some to everyone, indicating that they should refine them as soon as possible. When everyone reached 5th grade, they would go out to hunt heavenly beasts together. Zichen didn't look weak anymore, but the lightning power accumulated in his body wasn't much. He could clearly feel that the devouring power of his heart had weakened, and the lightning power feedback had decreased by a lot. Chapter 2936. This time, he had gained quite a lot from following Martin. Hundreds of heavenly beast inner cores and that strange lightning power were all great opportunities. However, after returning, Zichen was not happy at all. This was because the power that was stronger than the perfect body was not permanent, and could disappear at any time. It was like giving people hope and then making them feel despair. Although Zichen was far from despair, he was not happy either. There was a power that was stronger than the power cultivated by the heavenly book in this world. This was a shocking thing. He had already obtained it, but it could not be eternal. Kang Mo was no longer blindly refining tools. Zichen let him out and let him walk around the city with everyone to relax a little. Half a month passed like this. The devil ape was the first to reach the 5th stage, and its combat strength became even stronger. In the following time, Longhu Sovereign and the others who had strong physical bodies broke through one after another. Zichen had obtained hundreds of inner cores this time, so he did not plan to hunt 5th stage heavenly beasts for the time being. Most importantly, there were almost no 5th stage heavenly beasts in the periphery. If he wanted to hunt, he would have to go deeper, where it was much more dangerous. A few days later, Martin and Lunke came again. After seeing the two of them, Zichen was very surprised and welcomed them. At the same time, Martin and Lunke also saw the others. After sensing the powerful aura of these people, he was even more shocked. The Legion was currently lacking people. If these people could join, it would be beneficial for the Legion. I didn't expect that after not seeing each other for a few years, everyone's strength would have grown to this extent. Martin nodded at everyone. Among these people, only 3 were from the God Clan. The others' auras were obviously different from the God Clan, and their power was not the God Clan's power. Martin thought for a moment and said, Zichen, are you willing to join our Legion? Zichen smiled and did not say anything. Martin said again, There are only benefits to joining the Legion. Our Legion has specialized refiners who can customize battle armor. With your combat strength, after joining the Legion, it won't be long before you can accumulate enough contribution points to exchange for a tailor-made slot. When that time comes, your combat strength will be even stronger. If it's just a tailor-made battle armor, I can do it. Why should I join the Legion? Kang Mo, who came in from outside, said after hearing Martin's words. Martin was startled upon hearing this. He looked at the young Kong Mo and sensed his native aura. He said, "Young friend, you know how to tailor armors?" Kong Mo asked. "Is it very difficult?" Martin was filled with emotion when he heard this. Just as he was about to say something, Roy said, "Martin, you'd better not talk about joining the army anymore. It's impossible for Zichen to go. Last time, Zichen and I were ambushed on our way back." "Ambush?" Martin raised his head and looked at Zichen. Lunk, who had been silent all this while, also changed his expression. Zichen said, "It's the Blood Scorpion Corps. 2 rank SIXS and several rank 5 set up a formation on our way back and ambushed the 2 of us." Zichen had killed many of the Blood Scorpion Legion's members. If the 2 sides were to face each other head-on, it would not be a big deal. However, being ambushed midway was clearly abnormal. Because no one knew where they were going, how could they set up a formation midway? Martin also sensed the seriousness of the matter. His expression immediately turned ugly. He said in a low voice, "After returning to the Legion, I will definitely report this matter to the Lord and thoroughly investigate this matter." Lunk looked extremely embarrassed. Obviously, he did not expect such a thing to happen. At that time, Zichen was in a very bad state. Even when faced with the ambush of 2 rank SIXS, he was still intact. This showed that he was extraordinary. "This time, besides catching up, there's actually one more thing I want to tell you." "What is it?" Zichen looked at Martin. "Our Legion found a bigger ruin in the depths. It's just that it's too dangerous, so we suffered great losses." Martin said, "This is also the reason why I'm in such a hurry to recruit people. As a result, we didn't do a proper investigation and allowed people like Thoughtless Sea to sneak in. These days, as the Legion went deeper and deeper into the ruins, we suffered more and more losses. The secret of the large-scale ruin could not be kept. Therefore, the Legion decided to disclose this secret." Zichen was very surprised to hear this. Last time, when he saw those injured heavenly pythons running out from the depths, he felt that something must have happened. Now, it seemed that everything was caused by the Divine Legion. The eyes of Tyrant and the others lit up. Zichen had only gone to a small ruin and obtained hundreds of inner cores. What about the large-scale ruin this time? They were very excited and eager to try. Martin said, "Although we've decided to disclose it, there is a prerequisite. That is, if people who are not part of the Legion enter, each person will have to pay 4 inner cores of heavenly beasts. If people from the Legion enter, they won't have to pay a single coin." Zichen had more than 20 people with him. If all of them entered, they would have to pay nearly 100 inner cores of heavenly beasts. This was a huge number. In this area, it was very rare for an individual to be able to pay that much. Obviously, Martin was being kind. Zichen was also very clear about the value of inner cores. If he hadn't found this ruin, he would only have a few inner cores. How would he be able to take out nearly 100 inner cores? Everyone was already tempted. Zichen had also tasted the sweetness of the ruin, so he naturally wanted to explore it again. Thus, he asked, "Is it open to everyone?" "Yes, even the members of the Blood Scorpion Legion who are not on good terms with us." Martin nodded. "But if that's the case, what if someone uses spatial techniques to gather a group of people together?" Zichen asked again. The others chuckled when they heard this. Obviously, they understood Zichen's real meaning. Martin said, "That ruin is a little special. It's isolated from all special spaces. It's almost impossible to bring people in like this." Seeing that Zichen was still skeptical, Martin said, "You'll know when the time comes. Of course, if you can really bring people in like this, it's your own good fortune. The Legion won't stop you." This was Martin's main reason for coming here. At the same time, he also wanted to recruit Zichen. Alas, Zichen still didn't agree. After staying here for a day, Martin and Lunk said their goodbyes and left. "What do you all think?" Zichen looked at the crowd. "What can we think about this? Of course we should leave as soon as possible. If we're late, the good stuff will be gone," Monk said anxiously. Zichen ignored Monk and looked at the others. Chapter 2937. There were still many people in the team who hadn't reached rank 5. Although their combat strength wasn't weak, having a rank 5 body meant that they were stronger. Su Mingyao's suggestion was for the sake of the big picture. Monk was anxious because he was still some distance away from rank 5. Zichen pondered for a while. There was strength in numbers, but it also meant greater danger. The gods' mercenary army was known as the top army in this area. Naturally, they were very powerful. Even they suffered great losses. One could imagine how dangerous the ruins were. Zichen thought for a while and said, "Monk, Monster Ape, Zhang Haotian, and Luo Yi will follow me. The rest will stay." The anxious monk heaved a sigh of relief. Monster Ape didn't say anything. He would do whatever Zichen said. Longhu and the others had also reached rank 5. Hearing that Zichen wouldn't take them with him, they couldn't help but feel regretful. But they didn't have any objections. They had been together for a long time. They knew that Zichen's every decision was for the team. "Sir, I'm not going either?" Kang Mo asked doubtfully. "I might not be able to open my space when we get there," Zichen said. "You stay and continue to improve yourself." Kang Mo nodded to show that he understood. Zichen's space was a perfect world. Monk and the others couldn't open their worlds here. Only Zichen could. This was his uniqueness. But Martin's words reminded Zichen that although his world was special, it wasn't uncontrollable. For safety's sake, he only brought a few people with him. Monk's body hadn't reached rank 5, but he had absolute defense. In times of danger, he would be the biggest meat shield in the team. Zhang Haotian was good at assassination. There was no harm in bringing him along. Monster Ape had reached rank 5 and was very powerful. Of course, he would bring him along. In fact, Longhu and the others wouldn't be a problem. But no one dared to guarantee the safety of this world. So, they were left to protect the others. As for Luo Yi, he naturally had to follow. "Keep these things. They should last until we come back." After Zichen left behind some nadins, he took out the other hundreds of nadins and handed them over to Su Mingyao. At the same time, he took out a divine ring and handed it to Kang Mo, saying, "Take these things. If it's not enough, ask for more from Big Sister Mingyao." Kang Mo took the divine ring and nodded continuously. "I don't know when I'll be back after leaving this time. I have some inner cores with me, I'll leave them for everyone." Luo Yi took out his inner core and gave it to Su Mingyao. Su Mingyao hesitated and looked at Zichen. Zichen nodded, so she accepted it. In addition, Zichen also had a set of upper-tier armor, but it was damaged, so he also left it behind. In just 2 days, news of the large-scale ruins had spread throughout the city. When everyone heard that each person would have to pay 4 heavenly beast cores, their high spirits immediately turned to disappointment. For those below level 5, wanting to obtain so many heavenly beast inner cores was simply unrealistic. Even a level 5 heavenly beast inner cores might not be able to obtain so many heavenly beast inner cores, and those who were able to obtain them were mostly from powerful factions. Another 2 days passed. Zichen received a message from Martin, so he took action. A group of people sent them out of the city, and Zichen followed the route that Martin had previously left behind and headed deeper into the ruins. "I hope that this time, we'll have a great harvest." Along the way, Monk seemed very excited. He did not expect to come here with such a great opportunity. No one could remain calm, especially Zichen. The power in his heart had decreased a lot, so he wanted to go deeper and try his luck. Even if he could not obtain this power for a long time, it would be good if he could obtain a few more. Following the route, they went straight into the depths. 3 days later, they met many people who were on the same path. Along the way, they encountered some heavenly beasts, which were easily killed. When they arrived at the destination that Martin had mentioned, Zichen saw many powerhouses gathered here. Although the entry qualification of 4 heavenly beast inner cores per person made many people turn away, there were still many people who came. It seemed that all those above level 5 in this area who could afford 4 heavenly beast inner cores had all come here. As soon as they arrived, Zichen saw Martin. The latter also noticed Zichen and flew over. Just the two of you? Martin asked in surprise when he saw Zichen and Luoyi. Zichen smiled. Martin understood what he meant and smiled. Good luck. 3 people meant 12 heavenly beast inner cores. They should save as much as possible. I've already reported what you said last time to the Legion. The Legion is also investigating this matter, but they haven't found any evidence yet, Martin said in a low voice. At that time, Lunk drew, and I knew about it. After we go in, we must be careful of them. Okay. Zichen nodded. At this moment, Zichen saw Drew standing in the crowd. Drew also saw him. Separated by the sparse crowd, Drew nodded lightly at Zichen. Zichen nodded in response. Their eyes met. At the same time, Zichen felt a murderous intent on him from another direction. He looked around and saw the Blood Scorpion Legion. Everyone he saw that day was dead. No one should know about the grudge between him and the Blood Scorpion Legion. This murderous intent was a little inexplicable. Zichen's gaze fell back on Drew. If someone had purposely sent a message to him, then this murderous intent was normal. His expression became colder and more cautious. After entering, he would have to face the Blood Scorpion Legion's murderous intent, regardless of whether there was an opportunity or not. But he was not afraid. This was because his body was filled with power. This power was enough to last a long battle. Similarly, as long as the world could still be opened, he had nothing to fear. At this moment, a powerful aura appeared. It was emitted by a person. He was wearing shining armor. As soon as he appeared, the noisy surroundings immediately became quiet. One could even hear a pin drop. Everyone's eyes fell on him with different expressions. Some were shocked, some were surprised, some were excited, some were worshipping, some were in awe, and some were fanatical. Martin, who was standing beside Zichen, also looked at that person. His expression became respectful, and his eyes were filled with worship. He was the commander of the mercenaries of God, known as the strongest person in the world. Wei Li. Wherever he stood, he would be the center of attention. After a brief silence, there were loud cries of surprise. It's Lord Wei Li! The strongest person in this region! I didn't expect even Lord Wei Li to come! Everyone was at rank 9. Logically speaking, they should not be so excited. Wei Li? Hearing this name, Luoyi was startled and extremely surprised. You know him? Zichen asked. He was first on the ranking of generals back then. He dominated the ranking of generals for tens of thousands of years before disappearing from it. Back then, everyone thought that he had advanced to become a god king. I didn't expect him to come here, Luoyi said. First on the ranking of generals? This was an extremely familiar term. Before coming here, Zichen was also first on the ranking of generals. If you don't break through, your ranking will disappear from the ranking of generals? I'm not sure. Wei Li's gaze swept across the crowd. He gently raised his hand, and the surrounding cries of surprise disappeared. The surroundings became quiet once more. Everyone, the ruins are filled with danger. Once you enter, you must be careful. The enemy is very strong. Do not fight among yourselves. Otherwise, your losses will only be greater. Everyone respectfully cupped their fists and bowed to Wei Li. All right, everyone, follow me to the entrance of the ruins. Wei Li waved his hand. A divine light descended, and a massive teleportation array appeared on the ground. Chapter 2938. The teleportation formation lit up and Wei Li's figure disappeared. It's Lord Wei Li. I didn't expect him to come personally. Martin was very excited. The armor he's wearing doesn't seem to be top grade, Zichen said as he looked at the shining teleportation formation. It's a custom-made armor that can greatly stimulate Lord Wei's combat power, Martin said in shock. It seems that this trip to the ruins is definitely not ordinary. Zichen asked in surprise. He doesn't usually show himself? I've been in the mercenaries of God for more than 10,000 years and I've only seen Lord Wei Li twice. It's said that Lord Whaley already has a 9th-grade physical body and is trying to break through to the Divine King realm. He doesn't usually show himself. While Martin was speaking, more powerful auras appeared in the field. Each of these auras made Zichen feel a strong sense of threat. With the appearance of these people, there were exclamations all around. Obviously, these people were not to be trifled with. Almost all of them were experts from certain forces. Among them was the commander of the Blood Scorpion Legion. These experts' auras were very powerful. Every one of them was wearing custom-made armor. When Zichen entered this area, he thought that as the number 1 on the ranking of generals, he would be the strongest in this world and could sweep away everything. After seeing the 5-headed sky python, he knew how laughable this idea was. Today, he truly sensed the difference between the 9 grades. At the same time, he also knew that he was not the only number 1 on the ranking of generals in this world. His advantages were nothing in front of these powerhouses. Those powerful beings entered the teleportation formation one after another. After that, the surrounding crowd entered as well. The brilliance of the divine formation kept flashing and a large number of divine generals disappeared. "Let's go too." Lunk waved at them from afar. Martin turned to look at Zichen and said. Zichen nodded and put away his complicated emotions. The 3 of them flew forward. They entered the teleportation formation and disappeared. When they reappeared, they were on a plain. There was an open passage in front of them. The space around the passage was still distorted and was not stable. The lords who had come previously were gone. Outside the passage, there were several members of the mercenaries of God. They were guarding outside the passage and specialized in collecting inner cores. "Zichen, let's go in together," Martin said to Zichen. "All right." After Zichen agreed, Martin walked towards the mercenaries of God. At this moment, some people had already started to hand over their inner cores. After the people outside the passage checked their inner cores, they would be let in. Zichen and Luoyi watched from afar. Several rank 5 existences walked in. During this period of time, when one person disappeared, several rays of light flew out from his body. Those rays of light landed outside the tunnel and turned into human figures. Everyone was stunned when they saw the sudden appearance of these people. Those few people were also stunned. Soon after, they understood something and their expressions became extremely dejected. "Are we still going in?" Beside them, a member of the mercenaries of God asked indifferently. The few of them took out their inner cores and returned them to the other party before walking in. Discussions broke out all around. Zichen noticed that many people's expressions had changed. There were definitely many people who had used this method. "Everyone, give up as soon as possible. This world isolates all space," the divine general in charge of collecting the Naden said indifferently. Dejected sighs came from all around. During this period of time, people continued to enter. But every moment, someone would turn into light and appear. After some people appeared, they would take out their inner cores and enter. Others would leave in disappointment. Everyone had to hand over 4 inner cores. This was not a small number. So far, no one had forcefully broken through. "How about it?" Luoyi looked at Zichen beside him. "Let's try," Zichen said hesitantly. His world was obviously different from space. He still had some confidence in himself. At the same time, those who entered were obviously confident in their own space. Light flashed, and another 3 people were left behind. After the 3 of them appeared, they cursed angrily and left unwillingly. According to the 3 of them, the 4 inner cores were gathered by the 4 of them. Now, the 3 of them were eliminated. Similar things continued to happen. Many people were eliminated, but no one knew whether or not anyone succeeded. For rank 6 inner cores. At this time, a rank 6 was about to enter but was stopped by the other party. He did not take the 4 rank 5 inner cores from the rank 6. For rank 6 inner cores. "Why don't you rob them?" Hearing this, the rank SIX's face immediately showed anger. "We, the mercenaries of God, do not force anyone. Everything is voluntary. If you want to enter, you have to take out 4 inner cores of the same level." "What about rank 7? For rank 7 inner cores for rank 7. Are you crazy? You want rank 8 to take out 4 rank 8 inner cores? Rank 9 to take out 4 rank 9 inner cores? The rank 6 was not convinced. Rank 8 and rank 9 are free, the other party said indifferently. The quarrel in front attracted many people. For rank 5 inner cores were extremely valuable for most rank 5. Similarly, rank 6 inner cores were extremely valuable for rank 6. At the very least, among the rank 6 that Zichen killed, he did not see any rank 6 inner cores. They were all rank 5 inner cores. Here you go! The rank SIXS expression was ugly, but he still took out 40 rank 5 inner cores. Seeing this, Luoi said, "Since the mercenaries of God dared to ask for this price, they must have a lot of resources inside." Zichen looked at the god general who was collecting the inner cores and said, "The number of inner cores he collected today is probably more than 10,000. I wonder if anyone has any ideas about him." Compared to the risk of entering, this person in front of them was the real opportunity. Luoi smiled. Who knew how many mercenaries of God members were around, so they would naturally be on guard against others. Martin had not entered yet. Obviously, they wanted to wait until the end. After all, it was free to enter. Time passed, and there were still people who wanted to try their luck. Rays of light appeared, and those who were eliminated cursed and left dejectedly. Some took out their inner cores and entered again. No matter what everyone gets this time, the mercenaries of God are the biggest winners, Luoi said as he looked at the people who entered. Zichen nodded. At this time, the other party had already collected more than 10,000 inner cores. If they were to rely on them to kill, how long would it take? The people around gradually decreased. Zichen, who had been watching this scene silently, said, "Let's go." Luoi nodded, and the two of them walked forward. During this time, Zichen was still a little nervous. However, even if Monk and the others were eliminated, it did not matter because they all had resources and could enter. Martin looked at Zichen, who was walking forward with a smile on his face. Zichen came to the teleportation array and took out 8 heavenly beast inner cores. After receiving them, the other party nodded at them. Zichen and Luoi walked toward the passage. With a flash of light, the two of them disappeared. Seeing the two of them disappear, the smile on Martin's face froze. Lunk, who was beside him, was also stunned. He found it unbelievable. Chapter 2939. None of the people that entered that space would be stopped. However, the people that were hidden in that space would be directly eliminated. After Zichen landed, he sensed that Monk and the others were still standing in the world. A smile appeared on his face. Luoi saw the smile on Zichen's face and said with a smile, "Looks like you succeeded." Zichen nodded. "If we knew this would happen, we would have sold 2 inner cores. We could have made a lot of money." Zichen smiled, but it was a little forced. When he let Monk and the others out, he felt a strange force begin to suppress the world, making it smaller and smaller. "What's wrong?" Luoi noticed Zichen's abnormality. Zichen shook his head. He did not know how to explain this kind of thing, so he did not say anything for the time being. The appearance of Monk and the others did not attract the attention of the people around them because there were people coming in every moment. "Let's go straight in." Monk looked at the crowd in the distance and said excitedly, "Let's wait for Martin first," Zichen said. They waited patiently. After about 15 minutes, the people of the mercenaries of God finally appeared. They had a lot of people. With so many people guarding outside, no one dared to cause trouble. Zichen saw Drew in the crowd, and Drew also saw Zichen. He smiled indifferently and led the team away. Martin and Lunk were the last to appear. After they came out, they walked toward them. Martin said, "Zichen, you're really something." Zichen smiled and said, "It's just luck. Why are there only a few of you? Where are the others?" Martin asked when he found that there were only 5 people in total. "They didn't come. The few of us are enough." "That's true. This place is quite dangerous. Let's go." Zichen asked. Aren't you going with the team? Martin shook his head. Although he and Lunk belonged to the army, they were only in charge of the assessment, and did not usually follow the army's team. Therefore, they were only acquaintances and were not familiar with each other. In this kind of life and death situation, the team naturally needed some people who were familiar with each other and had a tacit understanding. During this time, Drew invited Martin, but Martin rejected him. The group of 7 headed deeper into the forest. Along the way, they saw many traces of battle and dried bloodstains. It's been 6 years since we discovered this ruin. Back then, it took us 2 years just to break it open. For the next 4 years, we kept trying to go deeper, but each time, we suffered more losses than the last. Of course, we also gained a lot. Otherwise, we wouldn't have asked for 4 inner cores for each person. Along the way, Martin said, it is said that when we first discovered this place, there were many sky pythons entrenched outside the ruins. They seemed to have discovered this place and wanted to come in. We suffered great losses in that battle. When Zichen heard this, his eyes lit up and he asked, the sky python also has the intention to come here? Martin nodded. That's what I heard. Back then, Lunk and I were outside and didn't see it with our own eyes. Zichen thought back to the previous time when he had obtained the lightning attribute. At that time, many of the heavenly beasts outside the huge rock had died. Since there were also heavenly beasts here, did that mean that there was also lightning energy here? He became excited. If he really had that kind of power, then this trip would not be in vain. At this moment, there was a cry of surprise in front of him, mixed with panic. The void in front of him suddenly began to distort, and a huge vortex appeared. Colorful lights lingered in the vortex, and 5 sky pythons flew out from it. This was the 5-headed sky python at its peak, and its aura was very strong. After it appeared, the 5 heads opened their mouths and attacked with the 5 elements. Meteorites, flames, and golden swords continued to wreak havoc, with a shrill sound of breaking the air. Those divine generals who were nearby retreated one after another. In the vortex, more 5-headed sky pythons appeared. When they saw the divine generals here, they did not hesitate to attack. A chaotic battle was about to break out. They actually opened a passage? Martin was shocked when he saw this scene. There's more than one passage. Look over there. Zichen's gaze fell on another direction. There was also a vortex there, and other heavenly beasts walked out of it. Then, several more passages appeared, and the heavenly beasts that rushed out of those passages were different. Their aura varied, but the weak ones were at grade 5, and the strong ones were at grade 6, and there were even grade 7. The surroundings were in chaos, and there were constant shouts. Luoi looked ahead and said in shock, this is really a place of opportunity. Yes, opportunity and danger coexist. I wonder how many people will survive in the end. Zichen said as he felt the strong aura around him. At this time, the area had fallen into chaos, and there were battles everywhere. All kinds of attacks were released, and they were wreaking havoc between heaven and earth. Deaths were happening at any time. Let's do it! Monk rushed forward impatiently. As he rushed forward, a light shield appeared in his hand, forming a defense. Bang! The 5-headed sky python's tail hit Monk, and his body immediately flew backward. Then, he rushed forward again, and his defense was intact. Seeing this, Luo Yi's face changed. No wonder the other party wanted to bet with him. It turned out that he had something to rely on. Monk, lure those heavenly beasts over. Zichen transmitted his voice to Monk. He found that the deeper he went, the greater the pressure he felt. The size of the world was also getting smaller, so he stopped moving forward. There were too many heavenly beasts here, and everyone was fighting. Naturally, no one cared about him. He wasn't sure if the world would be completely suppressed in the end. Fortunately, he used it now. Monk obviously understood what Zichen meant. He relied on his strong defense, and rampaged through some heavenly beasts. After angering them, he quickly returned. More than a dozen heavenly beasts chased after Monk. All kinds of attacks fell from the sky, forming an indiscriminate attack. Monk raised his defense, and moved forward in the sky full of attacks. Meteorites and sword rain fell on his body, causing ripples on his defense. Swoosh! A sharp whistling sound was heard, and a sky python's tail came quickly and hit Monk. With a loud tremor, Monk flew into the distance, getting further and further away from Zichin. Damn it! Monk stabilized his body and looked at the sky pythons coming at him. He cursed, and Buddha light surrounded his body. Releasing a strong aura, he held the light shield tightly and rushed forward. A Buddha shadow appeared behind him, causing him to rush forward even faster. He was like a meteorite streaking across the sky, and a shrill whistling sound was heard. Boom! Another sky python's attack fell on him. His body only trembled, and his speed wasn't affected much. However, the figure shrouded in Buddhist light behind him had dimmed a little. Zichin didn't go forward, and he just watched from afar. Luoi and the rest were shocked by Monk's strong defense. Boom! Boom! More attacks fell on Monk, and the rumbling sound between heaven and earth attracted many people's attention. Seeing Monk's strong defense, everyone was stunned. When the light shadow behind him completely shattered, Monk finally got close to Zichin. Behind him, the sky pythons were also flying fast. Buzz! At this moment, the void vibrated, and a black hole appeared out of thin air, shrouding downward. In the next moment, the sky pythons disappeared. For the latest novel updates, please visit the website. Chapter 2940. These sky pythons were directly enveloped by Zichen's world. After entering the world's rules fell. These rules were negative and had a strong suppressive effect. Their strength, speed, and even defense were reduced to the lowest. Puff! In this world, the doppelganger's high-grade armor burst out with a powerful aura, and the spear light swept across. 5 sky pythons' bodies were directly separated from the middle. Its body twisted in the air and fell to the ground. Blood spurted out and dyed the ground red. After coming to this world, Zichin was the master and had absolute combat power. Although the doppelganger could not control the world's rules, with the help of the real body, it was easy to kill these sky pythons. Puff! Blood splattered, and another sky python was killed. After seeing the dozens of heavenly beasts suddenly disappear, Martin and Lunk's faces changed, and they were shocked. Luoi knew that Zichin had a space, but he did not understand how he could bring those sky pythons into the space. How could he kill them? Continue, Zichin said to Tyrant. Okay. Tyrant laughed and flew into the distance. He shuttled through the group of heavenly beasts, and all kinds of collision sounds could be heard. Bang! Energy vibrated, and a 5th-grade heavenly beast was sent flying by Tyrant. The heavenly beast seemed to be in a daze. It shook its head in the air, and after a while, it locked onto Tyrant. A hissing sound. There was an attack fluctuation in the sound. This fluctuation was like countless attacks landing on Tyrant's body, causing ripples. The light shield was Tyrant's biggest reliance. At this moment, he could ignore all the attacks. The Buddha light behind him reappeared, providing him with speed. When the heavenly generals in the distance saw this scene, they were stunned. This guy was wandering in a group of heavenly beasts and did not take the initiative to attack. Was he seeking death? Although his defense was not weak, he could not hold on for long, right? Tyrant could not hold on for long, but with Zichin around, he did not need to hold on for long. In the midst of the turbulent energy, the Buddha's shadow behind him exploded. He turned around and flew towards Zichin. This time, he attracted more heavenly beasts, more than 30 of them. Looking at the incoming heavenly beasts, Martin and the others were shocked. How could they kill so many heavenly beasts? Go lure some rank 6 over! Before the world enveloped the heavenly beasts, Zichin said solemnly. The monk's body stopped in front of him, and then dissipated like a wisp of green smoke. He was already far away. Zichen's world once again enveloped the area. This time, when the black hole disappeared, Zichin also disappeared. In the heavenly jewel world, Zichin stood in the air, looking coldly at the heavenly beasts that had been brought in. A sheathed long saber appeared in his hand, and he slashed forward. Saber intent swirled around as a powerful aura was released, and a heavenly beast was cut in half. In his world, he was the strongest existence. Unless one had the ability to break out of this world, one could forget about leaving after entering. As the blade light slashed out, the heavenly beasts died one after another. Zichen didn't know if it was because he had used too much rule force, but he could clearly feel that the world was shrinking at a faster rate. If this continued, it wouldn't be long before his world was completely suppressed. In just a few moments, Zichen reappeared. All the heavenly beasts in the world had been killed. The monk was still luring the tier 6 heavenly beasts in the distance. It's too slow. Zichen was worried that it wouldn't be long before his world was completely suppressed, so he wanted to take advantage of the last moment to obtain more resources. The yin-yang energy in his body surged, forming a terrifying wave that spread out. Between heaven and earth, the space was distorted, and one golden light after another fell with the roar of thunder, landing on the tier 6 heavenly beasts in the distance. This level of attack was not enough to hurt the opponent, but it played the role of attracting attention. The yin-yang light continued to fall from the sky, exploding in all directions. Thunder rumbled, and the roar resounded through the world. The terrifying energy swept out, enveloping many heavenly beasts, and the surrounding god generals were all sent flying in fear. Is this guy crazy? Everyone was shocked, their eyes fixed on the center of the surging energy. Martin and the others were also shocked. At this moment, Zichen had undoubtedly diverted the attention of all the heavenly beasts nearby to him. In addition to many Tier 5 heavenly beasts, there were many Tier 6 heavenly beasts among them. These attacks were not strong, but they were concentrated and annoying. The heavenly beasts were successfully enraged. They all turned around and rushed towards Zichen. The world was filled with a terrifying aura, and this aura shocked everyone. Even Monk retreated far away. His defense was strong, but he could not fight against so many heavenly beasts. A strong wind blew, and a powerful aura shrouded the surroundings. Looking at the incoming heavenly beasts, a smile appeared on Zichen's face. The world opened up, turning into a black tunnel, and the heavenly beasts rushed into it. In the blink of an eye, the pressure between heaven and earth disappeared, and the distorted space returned to normal. The surrounding area was empty, and the nearby heavenly beasts had all disappeared. The surrounding god generals looked at each other, shocked by the opponent's means. In the distance, Drew's eyes flashed coldly, and he retreated. There was only a short silence, and the battle continued, because there were still many heavenly beasts in the distance. In Zichen's world, the heavenly beasts flew in the sky, releasing a powerful aura. All kinds of attacks appeared, destroying everything in sight. Mountains, rivers were all turned into nothingness under this attack. The doppelganger rushed into the sky, the armor on his body shining brightly. This time, he did not hold a spear in his hand, but a stone knife. A brilliant flash of blade light swept across the body of a level 6 heavenly beast, and as the scales on its body touched the blade, they shattered instantly. Blood splattered everywhere as the level 6 heavenly beast fell to the ground, dead. Killed in one blow. In another direction, Zichen was killing the heavenly beasts. In such a short time, they had already made up for the heavenly beast inner cores they had to pay. The battle did not last long, because both Zichen and the doppelganger had used their strongest power in this world. The world was getting smaller and smaller, and the power of the rules was getting weaker and weaker. Fortunately, the doppelganger had killed the heavenly beasts first, otherwise, at the last moment, the rules would not be able to suppress them. After all the heavenly beasts were killed, Zichen returned to this world. At this moment, his world had shrunk to the point where it could not accommodate a single heavenly beast. Obviously, his biggest reliance was gone. When he reappeared, he was shocked to find that they were surrounded. Chapter 2941. Zichen had collected more than 100 heavenly beasts using the realm since he came here. Among them, there were even some rank 6 heavenly beasts. Everyone knew that he had killed those heavenly beasts using the realm. In this situation where a group of people might not even be able to kill one, they were naturally jealous. Just as they were hesitating, the Blood Scorpion Legion had already made their move. They surrounded Zichen's group, each of them surging with murderous intent. Hand over the realm treasure on you, and the grudge between you and the Blood Scorpion Legion will be written off today. In front of Zichen, a rank 6 spoke. The battle in the distance was still ongoing, but many people's attention was focused here. They were waiting for Zichen's reply, to see how he would respond. Zichen's gaze swept across the surroundings, and he said, "Only 3 rank SIXS, and you dare to say such big words in front of me. You're quite bold." The Blood Scorpion Legion's rank SIXS sneered. "We're not those beasts. Why would we foolishly enter your realm treasure? Without that realm, you're just a rank 5. What can you do to us?" Zichen did not reply. He charged forward directly. All responses could not compare to the display of absolute power. At this moment, the Blood Scorpion Legion was not the only one who had designs on him. Only strength could intimidate. "You're courting death!" the rank 6 shouted coldly. Divine light surged out from his body. A divine saber appeared in his hand. The divine saber shone brilliantly as it slashed down. An extremely strong pressure appeared in the surroundings. The pressure enveloped Zichen, and his speed was affected. This was the full force of a rank SIXS attack. Its power was terrifying. The rest of the Blood Scorpion Legion did not make a move. Their gazes were fixed ahead, watching the battle. Under the pressure, the rank 5's speed would be greatly affected. His opponent was not wearing armor. Once the saber slashed down, in their opinion, Zichen would be severely injured even if he did not die. The saber slashed down, and an extremely sharp whistling sound was heard. It was as if space was about to split apart. The pressure on Zichen dissipated instantly. Streaks of silver light appeared from his body. A rumbling sound rang out. Heaven and earth shook violently. He clenched his fist and punched out. The sound of thunder seemed to resound in everyone's mind, shaking their souls. Boundless lightning illuminated the surroundings, drowning out the divine light in front of them. Under everyone's shocked gazes, the lightning fist collided with the descending divine blade. Crack! The divine light on the surface of the divine blade was immediately extinguished. The extremely high-quality divine blade broke in the middle and broke into 2 halves. The power of the lightning fist did not diminish, and the light continued to shine as it landed on the armor. Boom! The power of thunder burst out, shattering the mid-grade armor. The power of thunder entered the opponent's body through his fist. The 6th-grade divine general was shocked as his body flew backward. His aura weakened as he flew backward. Pung! His body fell to the ground in an arc, and then there was no more sound. He was dead. A rank 6 powerhouse was killed by 1 punch. Moreover, he was killed by a rank 5. The divine generals who noticed this felt their hearts beat wildly, and their eyes were filled with shock. Some were even hit by heavenly beasts because they were in a daze and flew backward with heavy injuries. Seeing their comrade killed with 1 punch, the other members of the Blood Scorpion Legion showed fear on their faces. They retreated without hesitation. "Kill!" A cold voice rang in their ears. Zichen rushed toward the second rank 6. The monk, demon ape, and Luo Yi charged toward the rank 5. Zhang Haotian's body flashed, and he disappeared into thin air. Luo Yi rushed in front of a rank 5 and hit him with his spear. With a boom of energy, the rank 5's mid-grade armor was broken, and his body was sent flying. As he flew backward, a black light flashed beside the rank 5. The black light flashed, and then the powerful aura dissipated in an instant. Seeing the black light disappear, a strange light flashed in Luo Yi's eyes. He was slightly stunned, and then he rushed toward the second opponent. Boom! An even stronger rumble sounded. It was the second 6th rank who was sent flying by Zichen. Zichen used the special thunderbolt power in his body. The powerful force wreaked havoc, and the rank 6 was killed. In everyone's opinion, Zichen's combat strength was extremely strong. It was very shocking that he could kill a rank 6 with one punch. In fact, he had consumed a lot of thunderbolt power. The thunderbolt power that had gathered in his body was rapidly being consumed. Fortunately, there were only 3 rank 6 enemies. After he used his powerful deterrence, there would still be some thunderbolt power left. As the last rank 6 was killed by Zichen, the battle on Luo Yi's side also ended. This time, more than 10 members of the Blood Scorpion Legion, including 3 rank 6, were all killed. The battle in the distance was also coming to an end. This did not mean that all the heavenly beasts were killed, but that they had all entered the depths. They weren't here to fight. They were here to find opportunities. When they met earlier, they naturally had to fight. During the battle, many heavenly beasts had entered the depths. Similarly, many divine generals had also entered the depths. They did not waste any time here. Let's go too! After collecting the spoils of war, Zichen and the rest also entered the depths. When the others saw Zichen and the rest following behind them, their expressions changed and they immediately sped up. It was unknown whether they were afraid of their powerful combat strength, or worried about being implicated. Although they had easily killed the Blood Scorpion Legion this time, there were more powerhouses in the depths. There were even rank 7 powerhouses. The Blood Scorpion Legion's commander had also come this time. He was in existence with a rank 8 physical body. As they moved forward, even Monk's expression was no longer relaxed. Take these things. Zichen took out some divine rings. These divine rings all contained the spoils he had obtained earlier. He divided the spoils into 4 portions and gave them to Luo Yi, Monk, Devil Ape, and Zhang Haotian. At the same time, Zichen also took out 2 additional divine rings and gave them to Lunk and Martin. When the 2 of them saw the corpse of the rank 6 heavenly beast in the divine rings, their expressions changed immediately. With their strength, it was impossible to kill a rank 6 heavenly beast. Don't decline. If necessary, I will have to trouble you to protect them. Zichen looked at the 2 of them and said. This time, they had killed the Blood Scorpion Legion in front of so many people. It had indeed intimidated the other forces, but at the same time, they had also thoroughly offended the Blood Scorpion Legion. Therefore, Zichen divided the resources he had obtained. If there was any danger, they could take the resources and leave. Martin and Lunk did not decline and nodded. This time, Zichen had gained a lot. Even if they returned home now, everyone had profited. However, he had other thoughts in his mind. Therefore, he wanted to go deeper and take a look. If there was any danger, he could leave alone. As they moved forward, they would occasionally encounter some heavenly beasts that appeared from the void. Zichen would kill them all. Compared to the other teams, they were at the back. Therefore, they were the slowest. Boom! Suddenly, the space distorted and exploded. A surge of lightning energy surged out from it, wreaking havoc. The 10 or so people around were unable to react in time and were enveloped by the lightning that suddenly appeared. When the raging lightning power dissipated, only a few people managed to escape. The rest were reduced to ashes by the lightning. Upon seeing this sight, the faces of the crowd changed drastically. This is one of the dangers of this place. There is an indescribable power gushing out from the void. It is very terrifying, Martin said, his face pale. The other people's expressions were ugly. This kind of unforeseen event was almost impossible to defend against. It all depended on luck. Their attention was focused on what was happening in front of them, so they didn't notice that Zichen's eyes had lit up. To read the latest novel, please visit the website. Chapter 2942. The previous thunderbolt appeared so suddenly that no one could react in time. Monk and the others felt a strong sense of danger, and their faces turned pale. However, Zichen's eyes lit up. The power of the thunderbolt was extremely strong, almost as strong as the power in his body, and its aura was somewhat similar. In that case, was there a thunderbolt power that could enter the heart here? Let's go! Zichen's eyes flashed as he said excitedly. It's too dangerous. We have to be careful, Martin reminded him. Don't worry. Everyone, follow me! Zichen had a special keen perception of thunderbolts. The others did not notice the previous scene, but his spiritual thoughts had detected the abnormality in advance. The time between the abnormality and the eruption of thunderbolts was enough for him to lead everyone to escape. Seeing that Zichen was full of confidence, they did not say anything and followed him. After moving for more than 10 miles, Zichen suddenly stopped. The power of yin and yang swept out from his body and enveloped them. Whoosh! His body disappeared from the spot. Boom! As soon as their bodies disappeared, the space in front of them exploded. Thunderbolts surged out like a tide, covering an area of hundreds of feet. Thunderbolts raged and thunder rumbled. Cracks appeared in the space there. After 3 breaths, the thunderbolts disappeared. Martin and the others stood in the distance with lingering fear. They turned to look at Zichen and felt very lucky. They felt lucky to have him in the team. Previously, their spiritual thoughts had also spread out in the surroundings, but they did not detect any abnormality in front of them. If it were not for Zichen, they would have died or been injured. The thunderbolt power appeared silently. It was not something that could be avoided by moving forward carefully. Everything depended on luck. It was also impossible to use doppelgangers to explore the way because there would be no abnormality when someone walked past, but the next moment, danger would appear. The reason why we suffered such a heavy loss is because of the terrifying power that erupts from here, Martin said. These powers are not all thunderbolt power. There are other terrifying powers. It is said that this was left behind from the Great War back then. It was sealed off by one isolated space after another, and it was in a state of balance. However, with our arrival, this space became unstable, causing these powers to erupt. The group continued forward. During this time, Zichen's spiritual sense saw another spatial crack in front of them. This time, the power that gushed out was no longer the power of thunder. Instead, it was a black hurricane. 2 of the heavenly beasts were engulfed by the black wind, and their bodies instantly enlarged to several thousand feet in size. They released a powerful aura as they tried to escape. However, it was useless. When the black wind landed on their bodies began to disappear. At the same time, the black wind extended along their bodies. Even if they rushed out of the black wind, they were still not spared. This scene was happening right in front of them. The others also saw it clearly, and their minds were all shaken. After that, they all looked at Zichen with worry in their hearts. Zichen was able to sense the power of lightning because he himself was a lightning-type warrior. However, the black wind clearly did not contain any lightning-type energy. Zichen said, "Don't worry, let's go." Earlier, his soul had sensed the abnormality. When the others heard that, they all heaved a sigh of relief. Just like that, they continued forward. During this time, no one fought. Even when they saw heavenly beasts, they did not attack. The unknown energy could descend at any time. Clearly, safety was more important. Just like that, they continued for several hours. During this time, they had avoided more than a dozen dangers. Finally, they reached the depths. Everyone had gathered here, including the powerhouses who had disappeared earlier. There was a huge battle going on here. The opponent of the battle was a huge beast. Its body was surrounded by a black wind. The black wind was a terrifying attack, just like the power of thunder. When they arrived, everyone felt a terrifying pressure. All the survivors were gathered at the outer perimeter, not daring to step forward. In another direction, the heavenly beasts were all gathered together. There were some high-level heavenly beasts, and some of them were even at the 7th level. Amongst them, the easiest to recognize was the 7-headed heavenly python. They did not attack, just watching from afar. Asterisk bang! Asterisk the energy went berserk, and a blood-red light appeared. The pressure of the heavens and earth grew even stronger. A blood-red light fell from the sky, slashing onto the huge beast. Blood spurted out, and a long wound appeared on the huge beast's body. The black wind around it dissipated a lot. Zichen noticed that the man was wearing a blood-red armor. There was a blood scorpion pattern on the armor. He was the commander of the Blood Scorpion Legion. At the same time, the Divine Legion's commander, Wei attacked. His weapon was a special glove that appeared on the surface of his fist. It released a bright divine light, and he punched the huge beast's body. Wherever his fist passed, the black wind around it was destroyed. The powerful force shook, and the huge beast was sent flying. The other leaders of the other forces also attacked. They displayed their powerful combat strength, and there were more wounds on the huge beast's body. The black wind from before, once touched, would definitely destroy the body. However, these powerhouses could ignore the hurricane. The wounds on the huge beast's body increased. It roared into the sky, and a terrifying aura burst out. An even more terrifying black wind formed on the surface of its body, sweeping in all directions. At the same time, a powerful wave spread out. The nearby leaders were sent flying, and they coughed up blood. Fortunately, their combat strength was very strong. The black wind that landed on them was easily dissolved. Such a scene also caused the crowd to be extremely shocked. "Kill it with all you've got!" Wei Li's cold voice sounded. He, who was wearing armor, stood in the air. An even more terrifying aura surged on his glove. He punched, and the bright light of his fist caused the world to tremble. It hit the huge beast's head, and with a loud bang, the huge beast's head caved in. The sound of bones breaking could be heard. After that punch, Wei Li's face was slightly pale. This attack had consumed a lot of his energy. The other leaders attacked one after another. They used all their strength, and all kinds of powerful attacks were displayed. The pressure caused everyone's expression to change again. Divine light wreaked havoc in the sky, and small cracks appeared in the sky. The people in the distance kept retreating. This wave was very strong. Zichen looked forward. This was the first time he had encountered the strongest combat strength in this world. Everyone was at the 9th level, but because of the difference in the realm of their physical bodies, there was a huge gap in their combat strength. Under the continuous attacks, the huge black beast's aura became weaker and weaker. Finally, it collapsed and died. Everyone's expression was extremely shocked. If it weren't for these powerhouses, they would only be on the road to death. After the huge beast died, its body turned into a black wind, and a passage appeared in the black wind. Seeing this passage, everyone was stunned. Could there be an opportunity in the passage? Chapter 29:43. From the beginning to the end of the battle, there was almost no communication between the experts. After the battle, the appearance of the passage seemed to be within their expectations. Just as everyone was wondering if this was an opportunity, they rushed in without hesitation. Everyone looked at each other, not knowing if they should follow in. The passage was surrounded by black wind. If something happened there, they would definitely die. Zichen was also frowning. He could not be compared to those experts who could ignore the black wind. If he was swept by the black wind when he entered, only death would await him. What's more, he had enemies here. At this moment, those from the Blood Scorpion Corps had already noticed them. Their expressions were extremely cold. There were too many people who had witnessed the battle earlier. At this moment, it was not easy to determine who had said it. However, Zichen still saw Drew. He sneered at Zichen from afar. No one entered. They were all very hesitant. Someone moved. It was the Blood Scorpion Corps. However, they did not enter the Black Wind Passage. Instead, they walked in the other direction. That direction was where Zichen and his group were. "Trouble is coming," Devil Ape said in a low voice. "These damn guys. Why are they not thinking of a way to enter the passage? What are they doing here? Are they looking for death?" Monk said unhappily. In fact, he was very anxious because those experts had already entered. Perhaps the good things had already been taken away by them. However, why were these people not anxious? Did they not want the opportunity? In fact, this was not the case. Those who were able to come here were not only strong, but also lucky. Along the way, they had seen their companions die. Therefore, at this moment, Even if they saw the passage and knew that the opportunity was behind it, they still did not dare to take the risk. It could be said that they were waiting. They were waiting for those who were not afraid of death to try first. Everyone did not move. When the blood scorpion core moved, it was very abrupt. Therefore, everyone's gaze fell on them. Some people were slightly startled. Immediately, they understood the reason and sneered. The leader was a level 7 expert. He came to find trouble with Zichen at this time, not only to seek revenge, but also to give him a kind of pressure. Under this pressure, he would make other choices. For example, he would charge into the passage regardless of his life. If Zichen was alone, he would certainly try to do so. But now, his friends were here, so he naturally couldn't let them take the risk with him. The members of the Blood Scorpion Legion didn't walk quickly. Killing intent surged from their bodies as they advanced. It was obvious that they were here to kill. "Damn bastard, are you trying to force us to get involved?" The monk gritted his teeth as his expression turned extremely ugly. "If you can't do it, then go in," Martin said in a low voice. They deliberately walked slowly, giving Zichen a lot of pressure and giving him time to think. This was the time to consider life and death. Should he be killed or should he fight for a chance at survival? Everyone was hesitant to move forward. After learning about the enmity between the two sides, they all looked at Zichen's group, waiting for them to lead the way. Obviously, at this time, most people would choose to fight for a chance of survival. Therefore, they were waiting for Zichen to choose to fight for that slim chance of survival. All of this took a long time to describe, but actually happened very quickly. Before Zichen could make a decision, a change occurred on one side of the sky. The void suddenly opened, and waves of powerful aura emerged. A terrifying pressure swept down from the sky. Everyone turned their heads and saw the heavenly beasts that appeared from the void. Among them, the easiest to recognize were the 8-headed heavenly pythons. 2 of them had appeared, but no one knew if they had just appeared or if they had been hiding in the dark for a long time. Naturally, those who could be with the 8-headed heavenly pythons were not weak. The pressure released by these heavenly beasts was even more terrifying than the previous battle. Everyone's heart tightened, and they were terrified. The divine general of the Blood Scorpion Legion, who had been releasing killing intent, had already retracted his killing intent. His face was filled with fear. This was because one of the 8-headed heavenly pythons seemed to have sensed the killing intent. One of the eyes on its head glanced in their direction. This glance was enough to cause great fear to rise in their hearts. Everyone's face was filled with fear, and they stood there, not daring to move. There was no sound in the surroundings, and they were as silent as cicadas in winter. The experts on the Divine General's side had already entered. If these level 8 heavenly beasts suddenly attacked, these people would all die miserably. No one knew if it was because they were ignoring the Divine Generals or because they were too focused on the opportunity, but these level 8 heavenly beasts ignored the Divine Generals. After they appeared, they flew toward the passage in the black wind. As they moved forward, their huge bodies became smaller and smaller, and they successfully entered the passage. In the blink of an eye, all the level 8 heavenly beasts had entered the passage. During this time, the black wind around the passage did not riot, and it seemed to be very stable. Of course, no one dared to try. The experts of the Blood Scorpion Legion, who had retracted their aura and were extremely frightened, now revealed their killing intent again. Obviously, they had to continue what they had not done before. Swish! 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 At this moment, there was a flash of brilliance in front of them. The heavenly beasts in the distance had moved. They flew in this direction, heading straight for the tunnel. Their bodies were huge, and as they moved forward, they kept shrinking. Then, they flew toward the passage. The people of the Blood Scorpion Legion stopped again, and stared ahead with the others. Swish! The first heavenly beast successfully entered. Swish! Swish! The second and third heavenly beasts also successfully entered. Following that, more and more heavenly beasts flew in. During this time, their bodies shrunk, and they retracted all their aura. At this moment, all the heavenly beasts had successfully entered. Although the black wind outside the passage was terrifying, it was very stable. There would not be any accidents. At this moment, no one went forward because the passage was blocked by the heavenly beasts. They could only wait for all the heavenly beasts to enter before it was their turn. What should we do? Tyrant turned his head and looked at Zichen. Zichen's world was getting smaller and smaller. However, it was not a problem to accommodate a few people. However, he was not sure if the world would forcibly close when he entered the passage and throw them out. At that time, facing the black wind, they would only face death. Let's wait first, Zichen said in a low voice. Perhaps the people of the Blood Scorpion Legion would leave directly. After all, the opportunity was very important. At this moment, almost all the heavenly beasts had entered, and the last one had reached the entrance. However, at this moment, something strange happened. The last heavenly beast suddenly surged with energy. This energy rushed toward the passage, obviously wanting to destroy it. Not good! Seeing this, everyone's expression changed. Chapter 29:44. This heavenly beast indeed had the intention of destroying the passageway. Its energy had appeared to destroy the passageway. At this moment, it had already entered the passageway and would disappear in the next moment. It had succeeded in disappearing. Its mournful cry reverberated between heaven and earth. It had disappeared at the entrance of the passageway and not in it. This was because when the energy on its body surged, the previously stable black wind suddenly became unstable. A wisp of it flew out and landed on its body. Even if it could enter the passageway in an instant, it still couldn't enter. Its body was destroyed by the black wind, and its soul let out a mournful cry. Seeing this scene, everyone felt very happy. This was a case of failing to harm others and being harmed instead. It was courting death. The black wind disappeared and the passageway continued to stabilize. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. That bastard! Zhang Haoyan, who had always been a man of few words, had a cold glint in his eyes. That damned bastard had done this. Not only had he harmed himself, but he had also harmed them. This was because everyone could see that if they were to cause trouble, they would be courting death. Therefore, if someone were to enter the passageway and release a wisp of energy, the black wind would naturally appear. Then, the person who entered would definitely die. Under such circumstances, everyone would be on guard and would deal with the threat in advance. As for them, they would naturally be the first targets of the Blood Scorpion Legion to eliminate. Retreat! Zichen clearly saw this point. His expression became very ugly as he shouted. Light surged on his body. He retreated backward, and the others followed him. Boom! 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 The aura in front of them exploded. Those from the Blood Scorpion Legion were indeed charging towards Zichen. Do you think you can escape? The Rank 7 expert's expression was cold. Killing intent flashed in his eyes. After seeing this scene, some people stopped to watch the battle. Some did not stop and flew straight toward the passageway. You guys go! Zichen's body surged with a vibration force, pushing Tyrant and the others away. He wanted to face these people alone. Tyrant and the others retreated far away with Martin and Lunk. They looked ahead, their eyes full of unwillingness. At this moment, a voice came from afar. Martin, Lunk, what are you two doing over there? We have been looking for you for a long time. Our Divine Legion is going to move together. The voice came from Drew with a smile on his face. Martin and Lunk's faces turned ugly. Drew's words clearly excluded Tyrant and the others. It was equivalent to telling the Blood Scorpion Corps that they were outsiders. Sure enough, the existence with the 7th-tier physical body glanced over and said coldly, Kill them! Not only were there people from the Blood Scorpion Legion, but there were even more from the Mercenaries of God. They might not be familiar with Martin and Lunk, but they definitely knew who they were. If the Blood Scorpion Legion attacked the two of them, they would definitely vent their anger on the entire Divine Legion. Now that Drew had pointed it out, as long as the Blood Scorpion Legion killed others, they wouldn't attack the Divine Legion. Damn it! The demonic ape's eyes were blazing with red light as its aura erupted. It gripped the black stick tightly in its hand. Apparently it was about to attack. Let's go! Zichen's voice rang out. It was cold, domineering, and irrefutable. He had originally wanted to escape, but now he had returned. He charged directly towards that rank 7. You're courting death! Seeing that Zichen had returned, the 7th realm smiled disdainfully. Light flashed in his hand and a sword appeared. Swoosh! The sword slashed forward and the sword radiance pierced through the air. Go to hell! Zichen clenched his fist and mobilized his physical strength. Terrifying lightning surged on his fist. In the previous battle, he had used up some of his physical strength, but it wasn't too much. There was still some energy left in his body. Now, he mobilized even more of his physical strength. A deafening boom resounded. The sword radiance exploded instantly. Zichen's fist pressed forward, shaking off the sword and landing on the chest of the rank 7 Divine General. There was a huge shock of energy. Lightning sputtered out of his chest and the rank 7 Divine General flew backward. The upper-grade defensive armor on the surface of his body was constantly twisting as if it would shatter at any time. Everyone was extremely shocked that a rank 7 was sent flying with one punch. In the distance, Drew's eyes widened in disbelief. Go to hell! Zichen's eyes flashed coldly. He swept to the side and a sheathed long saber appeared. He slashed forward with the saber. Yin and Yang saber radiance surged and a trace of lightning power gathered in it. The already terrifying saber became even more powerful at this moment. It directly slashed through the body of a rank 5 who couldn't react in time. The middle-grade armor defense on his body was instantly broken. At the same time, the armor broke from the middle. Even his body was separated by the saber. One saber killed a person. Usually, Zichen could easily kill a rank 5, but definitely not so easily. It was so easy now because of the lightning power gathered. That power was indeed extraordinary. Poof! Poof! Zichen swung his saber again. Another 2 were killed. He sent a rank 7 flying with one punch and then killed 3 rank 5s with 3 saber moves. Such terrifying combat power shocked and terrified everyone. Boom! There was a strong shock. A rank 6 who was about to rush towards Zichen was sent flying by a force. Zichen turned his head and saw Monk approaching him. He said unhappily, "Didn't I tell you to leave?" "Leave? Where to?" Monk held the light shield in his hand and rushed toward another rank 6. "It's just a battle to the death. It's not like I haven't experienced it before. Don't be afraid." There was another strong shock. This time, Monk was sent flying. Swoosh! Swoosh! Devil Ape and Luoi also came forward and attacked the people beside them. Zhang Haotian's figure disappeared in the void. He began to take the initiative to attack. A rank 5's defense was broken and he was killed immediately. All of them came. Looking at the people fighting, Zichen was very moved. However, this was obviously not a battle that could be won. Because the Blood Scorpion Corps did not consist of 10 or 20 people. It was a corps with hundreds of people. There was also more than one rank 7. After Zichen sent one flying, more people came from afar. The few of them could not possibly be a match for him. Monk and the others were clearly aware of this, but they did not run. What was there to run for? Was it not just a battle? Was it not just a battle to the death or a battle to the death? It was not like they had never died before. Go to hell. That rank 7 rushed forward again, attacking Zichen. The thunder force in Zichen's body surged wildly. Lightning flashed on the surface of his body, accumulating power for an attack. Boom! The rank 7 was sent flying again. The defense on the surface of his body shattered directly. His eyes were filled with horror. Poof! Zhang Haotian appeared behind the rank 7 without anyone noticing. The long spike in his hand silently pierced the rank 7's neck. Energy vibrated. Zhang Haotian coughed up blood and flew backward. The rank 7's aura immediately became sluggish. Slash! Luoi shouted. A divine sword appeared in his left hand. His speed exploded instantly, approaching the rank 7. The sword light flashed and swept across the rank 7's neck. The rank 7's head flew up. After this attack, Zichen's aura immediately became sluggish. The thunder force in his body had been greatly consumed. Go! He could not care about anything else. He swept everyone with his energy and was about to leave. But how could he leave? A few rank 7s appeared around him. Chapter 29:45. The rank 7s came closer and surrounded Zichen's group. Their killing intent surged. Rank SIXS followed them. Rank 5 stood far away, not daring to step forward. The people in the distance were shocked. These people were only rank 5s. Some of them were not even rank 5s, but they could kill a rank 7s together. Martin and Lunk stood not far away. Both of them were very anxious. This is someone else's business. You two better not get involved. Don't bring trouble to the Legion. Drew appeared in front of them and said calmly. Martin took a deep look at Drew. They had met a few times before. Drew was a good person. He did not expect it to be like this time. Obviously, Zichen was in danger. Drew must have sent the message. This time it was true. Maybe it was true in the past. Now, Zichen's group was surrounded by several rank 7s. They might not be able to survive. Under such circumstances, no one would think that Zichen's group had a chance. Although they were shocked by these people's strong combat power, their realms were too low. Zichen, who was surrounded, frowned slightly. He said, "Looks like we have to stop here." The monk said, "So be it." As he spoke, his eyes glanced at the dead rank 7s. If they went back now, they would not lose anything. Of course, it would be better if they could take the spoils. They could leave the rank 5s behind. Obviously, there were good things in the rank 7's divine rings. At this time, the monk was still thinking about resources. This made Zichen want to laugh. "Why would I stop here? Stop forever! You offended the Blood Scorpion Legion. Do you still want to live?" A rank 7 said coldly. Zichen, who was indifferent, suddenly changed his expression. Light flashed on his body and spread out instantly, covering the surroundings. Boom! A huge tremor came from behind. Countless thunderbolts surged out and swept forward. This violent thunderbolt was like a flood. It spread to Zichen's side and drowned Zichen. At the same time, those from the Blood Scorpion Legion surrounding Zichen were also drowned. This happened too quickly. It was beyond everyone's expectations. They were extremely shocked. Martin and Lunk looked ahead, their faces full of astonishment. "Isn't this luck a little too heaven-defying?" Drew was stunned for a moment before a smile appeared on his face. The surging lightning lasted for 3 breaths. After that, the lightning disappeared. A huge fissure appeared where the lightning came from. The power of lightning flickered within the fissure. That crack appeared to be a tunnel. However, the lightning flickering on its surface was very obvious. More people were willing to believe that this was just a crack and had nothing to do with luck. A terrifying suction force emanated from the fissure, enveloping the surroundings and devouring everything around it. The people from the Blood Scorpion Corps had disappeared. The rank 7s and rank SIXS surrounding Zichen had all disappeared. Even the corpses on the ground had disappeared. The only thing that remained was a physical space, in which stood Zichen and the others. Their faces were pale, and their minds were shaken. This space was Zichen's world. At the critical moment, he noticed something amiss and activated his world to protect everyone. In the blink of an eye, his world was struck by countless lightning bolts. The world blocked the attacks, and they survived. As for the rank 7s and rank SIXS, they all died just like the lightning bolts they encountered before. Their bodies were obliterated by the lightning bolts, and even their divine rings disappeared. The people around them were shocked. They all stared ahead. Even the rank 7s were dead, but those people were still alive? The people from the Blood Scorpion Corps in the distance looked extremely unsightly. In an instant, more than 80% of their powerful combat power had been lost. The rest were rank 5s, one of them was a rank 7s, and 3 of them were rank SIXS. This loss was too great. He's still alive! Drew was stunned. He was in disbelief. Soon, he noticed something unusual. Although Zichen was not dead, he did not leave. Instead, he stood there with the others. Why? Just as he was puzzled, a cry of surprise came from afar. He turned his head and saw a rank 5's divine general unable to control his body. He was engulfed by the suction force and was flying toward the fissure. Everyone noticed this scene, so they all stared ahead. The rank 5's divine general kept struggling and shouting for help. His face was full of fear. His energy vibrated, but he could not break free from the suction force. No one helped him. Everyone's eyes were full of anticipation. They all wanted to see if this fissure was the second land of opportunity. If that was the case, it would naturally be an extremely good thing for everyone. Because no experts had entered this place, they would gain a lot if they went in. The struggling divine general seemed to know that it was useless. So, he restrained his energy and wanted to fight for the last time. His body reached the fissure. Lightning flashed, and his body disappeared. The other people's faces changed. They all looked regretful. They could see that the divine general's body was shattered by the lightning. He did not enter the passage. Obviously, it was not an opportunity, but a dangerous place. At this moment, they looked at Zichen. He had not left yet. Many people could guess the reason. Zichen wanted to leave, but he could not. That devouring power landed in his world, and at this moment, he couldn't even keep his world. He only hoped that the fissure behind him would disappear quickly so that he could regain his freedom. At this moment, a ray of light appeared in the distance. The ray of light came through the air and hit Zichen's world. Buzz! The world began to tremble, causing ripples to appear. The people around were stunned. Then, they understood the purpose of the attack. It was a member of the Blood Scorpion Legion who launched the attack. At this time, there was a great enmity between the two sides. They could not let Zichen live. Those people stood in the distance, not daring to get close. They kept attacking Zichen's world. Zichen's world did not move. Under the effect of these attacks, the ripples became bigger. At the same time, the suction force of the fissure caused the world to move backwards slowly. Although the speed was very slow and could be called squirming, it would eventually reach the entrance of the fissure. Damn it! In the world, the monk was angry. He shouted, "Let me out! I will kill them! I will die if I go out!" No one knew where the fissure led to. Even if the monk had a strong defense, Zichen did not dare to let him take the risk. "What should we do? Wait for death?" The monk looked behind him. Although there was still a distance to the fissure, he would fall in sooner or later. "Let's wait and see." Zichen frowned. He felt that the suction force on the world seemed to have weakened. Chapter 2946. Looking at the crack that was slowly healing, there was an uproar in the surroundings. Looking at the current situation, the crack would disappear before the space was pushed to the crack. There was no doubt that these people would survive. In this way, the Blood Scorpion Legion would suffer heavy losses. Moreover, these people's combat strength was extremely strong. Once they escaped, they would definitely be in danger. The devouring power weakened a little. The Blood Scorpion Legion moved forward slightly but did not dare to get too close. Another large wave of attacks fell. However, the defense of Zichen's world was very strong, and they could not break it at all. They could only be forcefully pushed away by the energy. As for the original rank 7 and rank 6, they had already left. Even many rank 5 had left. The people who stayed behind also had thoughts of retreating. At this moment, a powerful aura suddenly appeared in the distance. This aura came from Drew. He was a rank 6. "Drew, what are you doing?" Martin looked at Drew and shouted. "Nothing." Drew smiled and restrained his aura again. Before Martin could breathe a sigh of relief, the energy in front of Zichen suddenly became violent, and a giant mountain appeared out of thin air. The surface of the giant mountain flickered with divine light, and with a vast aura, it collided with Zichen's world. Boom! Energy surged, and the earth shook. Zichen's world defense did not shatter, but the world quickly moved backward. It's really him! Seeing this giant mountain, Zichen's eyes flashed with a cold light. The expressions of Tyrant and the others became more and more unsightly. They looked behind them. Although the crack was still shrinking, the giant mountain was attacking them, and they retreated even faster. I'll send you away later, Zichen said in a deep voice. The devouring power in his world was weakening, and he could already control the world. What about you? Everyone looked at Zichen. Zichen shook his head and said, I'm fine. How can you be fine? Everyone's eyes widened. It was obvious that Zichen could not leave. I have a move that might be able to support you for a moment. You can take the opportunity to leave. They understood what he meant and were very touched, but they were also very surprised. They had not known Roy for long, but at this time, Roy clearly wanted to sacrifice himself to help everyone. And when he arrived, Roy took out all his inner cores. They looked at Zichen and wondered where Zichen had brought Roy back. Zichen looked at Roy. Roy said, I've known you for a long time, but you don't know. Zichen stared blankly. He was very puzzled. He didn't know when he had met such an expert. At that time, I was still second on the ranking of generals, and you were just a divine general who had just entered the Black Order battlefield. Back then, I specially went to the Black Order battlefield to see you and watched you enter the spiritual battles world. However, I never expected that in the blink of an eye, you would become the first on the ranking of generals and even come here. Zichen's expression changed when he heard this. He did not expect that there was such a relationship between him and Roy. No wonder Roy was so kind to me when I first met him. Roy, who was second on the ranking of generals, could personally go to the Black Order battlefield to find me. Clearly, it was God's arrangement. Moreover, he thought of Bly when he entered the spiritual battles world. Bly had entered the spiritual battles world to help him. Clearly, he had received Roy's instructions. Roy said, So, I mean no harm. I'll help you leave now. Zichen shook his head and said, No, I'll send you away. Trust me, I'll be fine. He turned his head to look at the crack and said, I want to go in and take a look. Everyone's eyes widened when they heard this. That was a dangerous place. He actually wanted to go in and take a look? I can sense that there's something unusual inside. It might be a dangerous place for others, but not for me. Have you forgotten that I'm Lei Wu? Moreover, I vaguely feel a calling. Zichen's words made everyone look at each other, but they believed him a little. Boom! The mountain was still attacking, and the world retreated even faster. At this moment, they were not far from the crack. Martin and Lunk attacked, wanting to destroy the mountain, but their attacks were blocked by the others. This time, the Blood Scorpion Legion suffered heavy losses. They will definitely vent their anger on you, so don't go any further. Leave this place immediately. In the world, Zichen whispered. Don't find trouble with Drew. He's a member of the Divine Legion. When I come out, I'll naturally find him. At this moment, Drew had a smug smile on his face. The mountain kept attacking, and the world retreated even faster. I might be back soon, or it might take a long time. If the Blood Scorpion Legion comes looking for trouble, go find Martin and Lunk. Both of them are people you can befriend. Zichen ordered everything. The others nodded, but their expressions did not look good. Because no one dared to be sure if there was an opportunity inside, Zichen's action, other than wanting to go in and take a look, was more out of helplessness. If it doesn't work, go find a backer. The mercenaries of God are the best choice. The mountain crashed into the world again, and a loud bang resounded through the world. This time, the mountain exploded, and Zichen's world retreated rapidly. More devouring power fell on the world. The world reached the edge of the crack. Boundless lightning flashed, devouring the world. The destructive power continued to wreak havoc. "Now's the time!" A crack appeared in Zichen's world, leading to an unfamiliar space. "Take care!" Tyrant and the others entered. Even though they were unwilling, they had no choice. In their eyes, Zichen's world exploded. Boundless lightning enveloped his body. Lightning flashed and wreaked havoc. Everyone seemed to see his body exploding. As the lightning disappeared, the crack also disappeared. "He's finally dead." Seeing the crack disappear, Drew's eyes flashed with a cold smile. The other party was too strong. Since he had already offended him, he naturally had to watch him die. "Drew, I'll report this matter to Lord Donder," Martin said coldly. "Report? Okay, let's see what Lord Donder has to say," Drew said. "Zichen got more than 1,000 inner cores, but he only gave you 2/1/5. Doesn't such a selfish person deserve to die? Even if Lord Donder is there, I'm not afraid." Martin and Lunk turned and left. They were too lazy to deal with Drew. How could such a person join the team? This made them doubt the evaluation standards of the others. They were not the only ones in charge of the evaluation. The disappearance of the crack could not be an opportunity. Everyone left in a hurry. Among them, the Blood Scorpion Legion left the fastest. They had suffered heavy losses, and many of their experts had died. Under such circumstances, their enemies in the past might make other moves. The others entered the Black Wind Tunnel one after another. Lightning flashed on Zichen's body. It seemed that he was strangled by the lightning in the crack, but in fact, he was not. He was a thunder martial artist, and he used the power of lightning in his body. He passed through the tunnel easily. He did not know whether he could get an opportunity here. In short, he landed on the ground after passing through the crack. Chapter 2947. Zichen was surrounded by thunderbolts that kept rumbling like thousands of lightning snakes. Some of them circled around his body, while some entered his body. Zichen's body flashed with lightning and released a powerful aura. However, the lightning could not stop the thunderbolts around him. The thunderbolts that entered his body made him feel pain, and he frowned slightly. Thunder rumbled, and the thunderbolts were like lightning snakes that were wreaking havoc. It looked very terrifying. Zichen subconsciously retreated. After retreating a few steps, he turned around and flew away at an extremely fast speed. He used his spiritual senses to detect that there was no thunderbolts behind him, so he wanted to go there to hide temporarily and carefully explore his surroundings. However, as he moved forward, he was shocked to find that there was always a constant distance between him and the open space. It seemed that as he moved forward, the thunderbolts were also increasing. After a quarter of an hour, Zichen stopped. After flying for so long, he still had not reached the open space. His expression became a little ugly, as if the thunderbolts here were really expanding. He could no longer feel the pain from the thunderbolts around him, and he did not know if he had become numb. During the previous battle, he had consumed a lot of thunderbolts. After using thunderbolts to protect his body for 15 minutes, the power in his body was almost exhausted. After being unable to reach the open space for a long time, the thunderbolts were about to disappear, and he could no longer feel pain. After pondering for a while, Zichen made a decision. This decision was to remove the thunderbolts from his body, because if he did not remove them now, it would disappear on its own later, and it would be very dangerous. Instead of that, it was better to leave some power to guard against accidents. After the thunderbolts were removed, more thunderbolts came to Zichen. With a violent sound, they entered his body. Zichen felt pain again, as if all the muscles in his body were being torn apart by the thunderbolts. This pain made Zichen want to scream a few times. He did not scream because he was in an extremely good mood. The reason why he was in a good mood was that he did not die under the violent thunderbolts. These thunderbolts were extremely terrifying, and they were destroying his physical body. However, while they were being destroyed, his physical body was also repairing itself to adapt to the thunderbolts. It could be said that his physical body was growing and becoming stronger at this moment. Zichen stood there, allowing the power of thunder to wreak havoc until his body had completely adapted to this energy, and there was no more piercing pain. He didn't know how much time had passed, but he could no longer feel any pain. The power of lightning in his body had not increased, but his physical body had become much stronger. Although it was a bit of a pity, this could also be considered an opportunity. As he walked forward, his spiritual senses shrouded the surroundings. After walking for several thousand feet, he stopped. Just like before, it seemed that he would never be able to reach that empty land. Then, he turned around and looked behind him to the front. After a moment of silence, he walked forward. Within the range of his spiritual senses, the open area was always a distance away from him. Just like how the lightning bolts surged when he moved forward, now that he was moving backward, the lightning bolts began to shrink. During this time, the lightning entered his body and strengthened it. Just like that, he slowly walked for several hours. When he estimated that the distance was about the same as the distance he had flown for a quarter of an hour, the surrounding lightning suddenly became violent. His body once again felt the pain. Zichen stopped where he was and waited for his body to adapt. His cultivation method was no longer useful here. The changes in his body were all instinctive. He instinctively resisted the power of lightning and instinctively grew stronger. Zichen quietly felt the changes in his body. Time became a little blurry here because there was no sun or moon, so Xingchen could judge. His body once again adapted to the lightning here, so he continued to walk forward. During this time, he was always following the open area behind him. It could be seen that the lightning here was really shrinking. At this moment, if one was in this space, they would find that the lightning was changing as Zichen moved. As he moved forward, the lightning shrank. As he retreated, the lightning expanded. Not long after, the pain came again. The power of the lightning here became stronger. Zichen stopped again and waited for his body to slowly adapt. After adapting, he continued to move forward. It was like a cycle, but it was also like stepping into different levels of lightning. He needed to be tested again and again. After his body became stronger several times, other than the lightning, something else finally appeared in front of him. It was a stone. It was oval-shaped but not regular. Its surface released the power of lightning. The lightning here all originated from this stone. Seeing this stone, Zichen couldn't help but recall the time when he had obtained the special power of lightning. Could it be that these two were the same thing? Then, could there be a life form in this stone? He didn't know if there was a life form in this stone, but after careful observation, it was very clear that these two stones were not the same thing. This stone was like a stone of lightning, naturally emitting the light of lightning. And it was a powerful light of lightning. His eyes stared at the stone of lightning in front of him, looking very cautious. At this moment, he could faintly feel a kind of summoning. This summoning came from the stone of lightning. There was nothing unusual around him, only the stone of lightning in front of him. After a slight hesitation, he sat down cross-legged and began to comprehend. At this moment, there was a kind of vigilance in his heart. He was worried that he would encounter a powerful existence like last time. If there really was one, the one in front of him was obviously stronger. He closed his eyes and sat cross-legged to comprehend, unaware of the passage of time. Zichen opened his eyes. Although he didn't have an accurate sense of time, he knew that he had been comprehending for a long time. Other than the summoning still existing, there was nothing else unusual. It was obviously not a good idea to continue like this. Zichen stood up and looked at the stone of lightning again. Even though he had been looking at it for a very, very long time. After looking at it for a long time, he finally mustered up the courage to step forward. Amidst the roaring thunder, he touched the stone of lightning with his hand. The stone of lightning, which had not changed all this time, trembled slightly at this moment. With a buzzing sound, a strong light appeared on the stone of lightning. The surging violent lightning in the surroundings quickly gathered toward the stone of lightning. After the surrounding lightning disappeared, the lightning on the stone of lightning that was originally flashing also completely disappeared. At the same time, Zichen heard a heartbeat. With a thump, his heart suddenly jumped. His vision blurred, and his consciousness seemed to leave his body and come to another space. He saw a person. To be precise, it was a back view. The current Zichen had already seen too many experts, even heavenly gods. However, after seeing this back view, his heart still couldn't help but tremble. The figure stood there with his back facing Zichen. He didn't look tall, and there was no aura emitting from his body. However, Zichen felt that he was vast. Vast and imposing, as if he was the ruler of heaven and earth. Chapter 2948. Zichen's fate changed in a winter a long time ago. At that time, he still had a best friend called Zhao Ken. The two of them went out to search for spiritual herbs. When they were about to reach the spiritual herbs, he was ambushed by Zhao Ken and fell off a cliff. He was already dead, but he was resurrected for some reason. He obtained the lightning yuan and was reborn. When he obtained the lightning yuan, an image appeared in his mind. It was a lightning dragon that appeared in his sea of consciousness. It was very terrifying and constantly wreaked havoc. A figure of heaven and earth grabbed the lightning dragon with one hand and turned it into a ball. That ball was the lightning yuan. Zichen never knew what that figure of heaven and earth was. He used to have doubts in his heart, but he gradually put them to the back of his mind. Many years passed. Now, the image of that year appeared in his mind again. Because a figure of heaven and earth appeared in front of him again. As he grew up, the shock that this figure brought to him was not as strong as it was in the past. But now, looking at the figure of heaven and earth, he still felt a vast and powerful aura from the figure. The memory of that year surged in his mind again. Were the two of them the same person? Or were they just equally powerful auras? No one answered his doubts. While he was shocked, Zichen's emotions were also somewhat complicated. He seemed to be thinking of the past. At this moment, he noticed that in front of the figure there was a tree that released lightning. He had never seen such a tree. It was about 10 feet tall, and its roots were intertwined like spiritual pythons. The bark was like scales, and the leaves were of different shapes. Lightning flashed, but there were no fruits on the tree. Occasionally, lightning creatures would appear out of thin air. The figure was staring at the lightning tree. Time stopped. Or 10,000 years in a glance. Meeting is fate. 10,000 people have 10,000 fates. Fate rises and falls. Karma is a cycle. I have obtained a fate. Today, I will leave a fate here for the fated person. The voice came from the figure in front. It was a low murmur, but Zichen heard it clearly. He stretched out his hand, and lightning flashed in his palm. He grabbed the lightning tree. Lightning flowed out from between his fingers. In the next moment, he stretched out his hand again. The lightning tree disappeared, and there was a stone that emitted lightning. The lightning stone was very small. He flipped his palm, and the thunderstone fell to the ground. It was very small, but there was a rumbling sound when it landed. After landing on the ground, the thunderstone became bigger and turned into a huge rock. Zichen looked at the lightning boulder, and his expression changed. This boulder was exactly the same as the one he had touched before. The other party looked at the huge rock in front of them and was silent for a long time. Back then, when I was comprehending the Tao in front of the thunder tree, I comprehended a technique. I called it the thunder body. Since I'm leaving today, I'll leave it behind. Zichen heard the other party's voice again, but in the next moment, he saw the other party turn around and look at where he was standing. At this moment, Zichen saw the other's appearance, but he couldn't see it clearly. It was as if there was some kind of law blocking his view. He could only see a pair of eyes that flashed with lightning. It was as if they were looking at him across countless dimensions and countless years. The thunder tree cannot exist forever. After obtaining the thunder body, search for the thunder tree and comprehend the thunder technique. The figure disappeared, but Zichen was still in shock. The voice just now seemed to ring in his ears. The other party had existed for countless years and disappeared for countless years, but the two of them could look at each other. It was as if the other party had crossed the barrier of time and space, walked from the past to the future, came to him, saw him, and said a sentence to him. That's right, those words seemed to be spoken to him personally. He was very shocked because he could clearly sense that this wasn't an illusion, but something that happened in reality. The figure disappeared, and the surroundings returned to normal. Only the thunderstone was shining. He walked forward, his heart still filled with shock. It seemed as if the other party had just put down the thunderstone and he had arrived here. However, there was an incalculable amount of time in between. He sat cross-legged in front of the boulder, closed his eyes, and began to comprehend the things in the boulder. There was lightning in the boulder, and endless lightning flashed. There was a cultivation technique in the boulder called the thunder body. Zichen, who was sitting cross-legged, could sense the power of the thunder body in the thunderstone. They were wreaking havoc, very violent, and also very powerful. However, there were no life forms here, only the rumbling of lightning. There was no cultivation technique either. He slowly comprehended. This was a very long process. In his heart, the special power of lightning had stopped being transmitted. It was as if all the energy had been used up. He didn't know how much time had passed, but it had been a long time. Zichen still had his eyes closed, comprehending in front of the thunderstone. He didn't move for a long time, as if he had entered a meditative state. The lightning that originally existed in his mind was no longer pure lightning. It began to change, taking on all kinds of forms. Thunder beasts, thunder trees, mountains, rivers, earth. It was manifesting all things in the world, constantly changing. He didn't know how much time had passed, but these manifested lightning became clearer. With a hiss, the lightning turned into a lightning python, dancing in the air, winding and spiraling, as if it was going to transform into a dragon. The dragon's roar resounded through the world, and the lightning python turned into a lightning dragon. It was like the lightning dragon that Zichen was familiar with, but also like a strange and powerful existence. The flying lightning dragon turned into a lightning mountain peak. The mountain peak was majestic, and its aura was oppressive, like the highest peak in the world. It turned into all kinds of other things, and sounds resounded. The things manifested by the lightning became clearer and more realistic. During the process of manifesting, this power also became more condensed. It was no longer all over the sky, but slowly merged during the manifestation, turning into a visible ball of energy. Just as Zichen still didn't understand what was going on, a law suddenly appeared and landed on the ball of energy. The ball of energy changed again, and then it froze. It turned into a pattern, which was a cultivation technique. There was a circulation route on it, and Zichen could see it clearly. When he saw the cultivation technique, he naturally tried it out. Just as the cultivation technique was circulating, a new power emerged in his heart. This time, it was different from before, where he couldn't control it. This time, the energy was controllable. At the same time, the energy that the cultivation technique turned into entered his body and began to change his physical body. This was the lightning body. It was a very ordinary name that didn't sound impressive at all. However, the lightning power condensed from the lightning body was extremely terrifying, as though it was low-key and restrained. This power exceeded the power of the perfect body formed by the heavenly book. It was as though it didn't exist in this world, as though it was a power that came from outside this world. After obtaining the lightning body cultivation technique and lightning filling his body, Zichen's body became stronger. If his body was previously at the 5th grade, it had now become a 6th grade, or even higher. Chapter 2949. Monk, come out! A cold voice came from outside the hall. It was Drew's voice. He looked at the castle in front of him, a cold light flashing in his eyes. What's the matter? After a while, a faint voice came out. Monk came out and glanced at Drew. The intelligence team has found something. It's your turn. Drew snorted and said sarcastically, You're so lucky. We can't even go on missions these days. Our resources are almost used up. But you go out one after another. You're so lucky. Monk glanced at Drew and said, No. Our men are seriously injured and haven't recovered yet. Drew sneered. This is the Legion. How can you say no? But if you don't want to go, you can ask Miss Su Mengyao to find Sir Donder. Sir Donder appreciates and loves Miss Su Mengyao. I believe it's possible. Monk's face became gloomy. Drew, do you know why Lord Zeng still lets you live even though you're so annoying? A cold light flashed in Drew's eyes, and he said, Everyone knows this. Because Lord Drew is a level 7, powerful enough. Monk said, Level 7 is not the main reason why Lord Zeng lets you live. Zichen said he would come back and kill you. That's why Lord Zeng lets you live until now. When they were talking, cold light flashed in their eyes. They both wanted to kill each other, but they couldn't. Monk smiled faintly. You don't have to look at Lord Zeng like that. Everyone knows Lord Zeng's kindness. Drew dared not show weakness and said, No wonder you wear a turtle shell all day. It turns out that you're waiting for that guy. But he's been dead for hundreds of years. Don't you think it's ridiculous to pin your hope on a dead man? Yes, it had been hundreds of years since the Legion went to explore the ruins in the depths. At that time, all the experts of the major forces went in. When they came out, they were all seriously injured, and several level 8 experts died. Wesley, the commander of the Divine Legion, was seriously injured. After he came out, he had been in closed-door training. Blood Scorpion and other commanders were also seriously injured. They didn't show up in the following hundreds of years. No one knew what happened at that time. There were only some unverified rumors. Drew had also obtained the opportunity to break through to rank 7 that time. Not long after they left the ruins, they were discovered by the Blood Scorpion Corps. Faced with such a large force like the Blood Scorpion Corps, they could only find Martin and Lunk. Martin and Lunk naturally would not reject them. In fact, they did not even go through the assessment, and allowed them to join the army directly. After that, these people formed an independent team and acted according to the information they had gathered. After that, they would be allocated according to the resources. The Blood Scorpion Legion had suffered heavy losses last time, and their Legion commander was heavily injured. Even if they wanted to cause trouble, they wouldn't dare to come to the Divine Legion. In the beginning, everything went smoothly. Tyrant and Zhang Haoyan successfully reached the 5th stage, while Roy, Monster Ape, and the others reached the 6th stage. In the Divine Legion, everyone knew that this team was full of experts. Most importantly, there were many great beauties in this team. This situation continued until 100 years ago. At that time, the Divine Legion discovered a large ruin and wanted to enter to investigate. Martin fought for the opportunity for everyone, but when everyone was about to enter, Su Mengyao told them that it was too dangerous and stopped them. At that time, Donder was personally in charge of this place. Su Mingyao's words were passed to Donder. In the face of opportunities, there would naturally be losses. Every time someone explored a ruin, there would be some casualties. He didn't care about it. As a result, the Divine Legion suffered heavy losses in that exploration, even greater than the previous one. Su Mengyao and her team didn't enter that time, so naturally, no one was killed. After that, Donder sent someone to invite Su Mengyao. As the second in command of the Divine Legion, Su Mengyao naturally couldn't refuse. After that meeting, Donder expressed his appreciation for Su Mengyao and invited her to join his team. However, Su Mengyao refused. After that, Donder came twice. Of course, it was an invitation, and of course, it was a refusal, even if it was tactful. After that, their luck came. They went out to hunt heavenly beasts continuously. Although the harvest was not small, there were more and more injured people. Some even had to go out with injuries. Donder never came again, as if it was just a whim. Tyrant glanced at Drew and said, Don't blame Lord Zeng for not reminding you. Enjoy yourself while you are still alive. Otherwise, when Zichen comes back, it will be too late for you to regret. It's been hundreds of years. He can't come back. Drew sneered and said, Now, what you should worry about is whether you can come back alive. Remember, go to the intelligence personnel and ask for information. After Drew left, Tyrant's face became cold and stern. Luo Yi and Monster Ape stood behind Tyrant. Their faces were also gloomy. Tyrant, go and ask for clues. Su Mingyao's voice came from the main hall. We'll continue the mission. Tyrant went to look for information, while Monster Ape and Luo Yi returned to the main hall. There were not many people in the team who could be used this time. Longhu and the others had not recovered from their injuries last time, so naturally, they couldn't go out this time. There were only a few people in their prime. Looking at their gloomy faces, Su Mingyao said, Don't worry. We'll be fine. When Zichen was not here, Su Mingyao was the absolute backbone. She used to be in charge of all the affairs of the Wuji sect, so she was very handy. Everyone looked at Su Mingyao with strange expressions. She rarely spoke with certainty, and every time she spoke with certainty, there was a meaning behind it. Su Mingyao said, Although I can't divine Zichen's situation, I can still divine our own situation. We won't be in danger. Su Mingyao's Tao of divination was extraordinary. It was her decision last time that saved everyone from losses. Even Tyrant, who had always been greedy and didn't take Zichen's words to heart, believed Su Mingyao without a doubt. Hearing Su Mingyao's words, everyone was relieved. Not long after, Tyrant came back with a gloomy expression. There are a few injured 6th-class heavenly beasts. The exact number is unknown. They are a little far away, so they won't be able to come back in a short time. Su Mingyao said, Don't worry. You can go. Leave this to us. But... Tyrant was a little hesitant. I'll stay, Luo Yi said. No need. No one can do anything to us. Su Mingyao said, We don't have the power to kill the enemy, but we can definitely protect ourselves. In the end, Tyrant, Luo Yi, Lei Ting, Xingqian, Devil Ape, and Zhang Haoyan left. Brother Devil Ape, your armor is done. At this moment, a voice came from behind. Kang Mo came to the hall. Kang Mo was holding a set of armor in his hand. The armor was black, and the scales on it were polished very evenly. The lines were connected together, and it was dark and shiny. Devil Ape reached out to take the armor. It was cold to the touch. The scales covered the surface of the armor, but they weren't stiff. A familiar aura came from the armor. The reason for this feeling was that the armor was tailor-made, and it was integrated with Devil Ape's energy and blood. With a flash, the armor disappeared from Devil Ape's hand, and he put it on. There was no need to refine it deliberately. The armor had become one with him. Kang Mo said, I'm still lacking in proficiency. This armor is only slightly stronger than a high-grade armor, but it's still far from being tailor-made. This wasn't the first set of custom-made armor that Kang Mo had made. It was the third set. The first set was with Ichien, and the second set was given to Su Mingyao. The first two sets were just attempts. The skills weren't perfect, and they mainly focused on defense. The set before his eyes was a combination of attack and defense. Chapter 2950. The 6 of them left. Following the clues given by the informant, they went deeper into the ruins. This was the disadvantage of joining the army. Even if you knew that someone was targeting you, it was not easy to leave. Looking at the current situation, if they wanted to protect themselves, besides waiting for Zichen's return, they had to make themselves stronger. As they moved forward, Martin said, This time, I specially asked around. That place is close to the depths. There might be changes. We should be careful. After the 6 of them left, Martin and Lunk followed. The 2 of them had also advanced to the 6th level. They no longer took on the task of assessment, and began to fight with the army. Martin was also the captain. These years, the 2 of them had taken great care of everyone. This time, when they heard that they were going out again and that there were many injured people, the 2 of them did not hesitate to follow. As they moved forward, Martin did not mention Zichen's name because he felt that it was taboo. However, from the eyes of Monk and the others, he could see that they still believed that Zichen was not dead and were waiting for him to return. However, hundreds of years had passed, and the ruins had disappeared without a trace. Could Zichen still come out? Along the way, they deliberately avoided this problem. 7 days later, they arrived at the marked place. This place was close to the depths and was very dangerous. At the marked place, they did not find any heavenly beasts. However, they encountered them 100 miles to the west. There were a total of 3 6th-level heavenly beasts, and all of them were injured. For everyone, it was not dangerous. "Let's end this quickly," Monk said coldly. His body flashed, and he took the initiative to rush forward. In all the battles, Monk was the first to rush forward. His body shone with Buddhist light. The light shield released a strong light and hit a 6th-level heavenly beast. Bang! The energy vibrated. The 6th-level heavenly beast was sent flying by Monk. His body also flew back in the air. "Let me!" Louis held a long spear and rushed forward to fight with the 6th-level heavenly beast. Bang! Then, Monk sent the second 6th-level heavenly beast flying. Lei Ting and Xingchen flashed forward. "Demon Ape, you guard the surroundings. Lunk and I will deal with this one." As Martin said this, he and Lunk rushed forward. 3 6th-level heavenly beasts, 3 battlefields. Monk wandered around the 3 battlefields, ready to provide support. Zhang Haotian's body flashed and disappeared. The battle continued. Powerful shockwaves surged, spreading to an extremely distant place. The demonic ape scanned its surroundings, its blood-red eyes filled with indifference. Suddenly his pupils shrank. Light appeared on the horizon, and a powerful aura emerged. "Not good, other heavenly beasts are coming. Let's go!" The demon ape shouted out loudly. They were so close to the inner regions, and the shockwaves from the battle were huge, and it was inevitable that other heavenly beasts would be attracted. The others also noticed the aura in the sky, and their expressions changed. There were at least a dozen heavenly beasts in front of them, and their auras were all at the 6th stage. Roy said in a deep voice, "Let's go!" As soon as they turned around, they saw that other heavenly beasts had also appeared, and they were surrounded. "Not good!" The few of them had ugly expressions on their faces. As soon as the fight started, other heavenly beasts had appeared from all directions. This was clearly a plot. However, it was unclear whether this scheme was the work of the heavenly beasts or the divine generals. "Kill our way out!" Tyrant shouted as he rushed towards the periphery. Relatively speaking, it was easier to escape in that direction. Boom! In the midst of the collision, the golden light rippled out in all directions, and the heavenly beast was sent flying. The other heavenly beasts in the surroundings rushed forward. Powerful shockwaves swept across the sky as all kinds of attacks drowned out the monk. Swoosh! The demonic ape was wearing a custom-made armor. Its body shone with black light as it rushed forward with a black staff in its hand. The black staff in its hand lit up, and the lines on it were clearly visible. The black staff in its hand smashed down. The black staff whistled as it hit a heavenly beast. Boom! The void shook violently, and a terrifying aura surged. The crisp sound of bones breaking could be heard. A heavenly beast's head was smashed as it was sent flying. This was the combat power of a heavenly beast, with the help of a custom-made armor. It flew towards the heavenly beast like a bolt of black lightning. The attacks that spread towards it were easily neutralized by the armor. Energy was activated, and the lines on the armor lit up, releasing a powerful aura. Boom! Another blow came down, and the demonic light scattered. The heavenly beast shrieked and fell to the ground. Clearly, with the help of the armor, the demonic ape now had the strength to wipe out heavenly beasts. On the other side, Roy and the others also joined forces to deal with the other heavenly beasts. The heavenly beasts in the distance were very fast. Before they could escape, they had already surrounded them. "Everyone, save your strength!" the demonic ape shouted. It turned into a bolt of black lightning and wandered around the battlefield. The heavenly beasts that it came into contact with were all sent flying. At this moment, only the demonic ape and the monk could escape easily. It was obviously very difficult for the others to leave. Since they could not leave, they would kill. The demonic ape attacked fiercely. The armor that Kangmo gave him before he left greatly increased his combat power. On the battlefield, he was the main killer. An hour later, the battle ended. cracks began to appear on the demonic ape's brand new armor. It was unknown how many years Kong Mo had spent refining the battle armor, but it was damaged in just one battle. It was not that the armor was not strong enough, but the battle was too fierce. Fresh blood dripped down the armor, and it was a ghastly sight. Roy's aura was very weak, and Martin and Lunk were also seriously injured. Zhang Haotian's injuries were very serious, and he had used up all his energy. He could no longer hide. Lei Ting and Xingqian were the same. The monk's defense was forcefully broken through due to the lack of energy. As a heavenly beast, his injuries were even more serious. This was because most of the time, he was used to block the attacks for everyone. Everyone was seriously injured, but the price was the corpses of the heavenly beasts. There were too many heavenly beasts. Among them, there were only a few heavenly beasts at rank 5 and many at rank 6. There were no rank 7 beasts. This was a huge gain, but it was also very dangerous. If more heavenly beasts came at this time, what awaited everyone would be death. "We have to leave this place," the demonic ape said in a low voice. Among the group, he was the only one who was in a good condition. Just as everyone was preparing to move, rays of light suddenly appeared in front of them. The rays of light turned into human figures. After seeing the armor on them, everyone's expression changed. "Not bad." The leader smiled faintly. He glanced at the few who were seriously injured and weak. His eyes flashed with undisguised killing intent. On his armor, there was a blood scorpion pattern. The people who came were from the blood scorpion corps. There were more than 10 of them, and they were obviously enemies. In their current condition, there was no chance for them to fight. Only death awaited them. Of course. Chapter 29:51. As the light flashed, a figure appeared in front of them, standing indifferently. Before seeing the person, the severely injured devil ape, and the others were shocked when they heard the voice. This voice was too familiar. They had been waiting for a long time, and it had finally appeared. The moment they saw the figure, their eyes lit up. The despair and anger that had just risen in their hearts disappeared at this moment. A smile appeared on their faces as they stared at the people of the Blood Scorpion Legion in front of them. Since the other party had appeared, the danger naturally did not exist for them. "He really came back!" Martin and Lung's eyes were filled with surprise. Zichen looked at the divine general of the Blood Scorpion Legion in front of him and said indifferently, "What a coincidence! You're not dead?" The divine general stared at Zichen, and his pupils suddenly shrank. Behind him, a few people's expressions changed, and some others were puzzled. It had been a few hundred years since the last trip to the ruins. There were some newcomers in the Blood Scorpion Legion, but not everyone had seen Zichen before. "You're all still alive. Why should I be in a hurry to die?" A cold light flashed in Zichen's eyes. After obtaining the Thunder Body, he had absorbed the energy in the Thunderstone. After that, the space became unstable, and he broke open the space and walked out. At first, he was still uncertain about the direction, so he released his spiritual senses to find a reference point. However, he could not find a reference point until he released his spiritual senses and felt the fluctuations of a battle. He spread his spiritual senses in the direction of the fluctuations, and saw the people fighting with the heavenly beasts. He was very surprised. He did not know how long it had taken to comprehend the Thunder Body, but he was very satisfied with everyone's growth. At this moment, the battle had ended. Just as he was about to move forward excitedly and greet everyone, he found the people of the Blood Scorpion Legion. Thus, he did not hesitate to open his world and use it to teleport in front of everyone. Looking at the many corpses on the ground, Zichen asked, "What's going on?" "We've been tricked," Devil Ape said. "Who?" Zichen's voice turned cold. "I'm not sure." Heavenly beasts had intelligence as well, and there had been instances of them scheming against divine generals before. Without any evidence, it was hard for anyone to make a judgment. Zichen looked at the members of the Blood Scorpion Corps and said, "My appearance is a coincidence. You guys shouldn't be, right?" There were coincidences in the world, but there were definitely not many of them. He had just been tricked by a group of heavenly beasts. How could he possibly have just ended the fight, and now face another group of enemies? The divine general standing in front was a rank 7. He was also the last rank 7 to survive after entering the ruins last time. His expression turned cold as he shouted, "Kill him!" Those few rank 6 existences who knew of Zichen's strength were somewhat hesitant. They did not act immediately. On the other hand, those who were not aware of this rushed towards him. A fierce light flashed in Zichen's eyes. He clenched his fist and lightning appeared on it. This was the light of lightning contained in the lightning body. It was the power of the lightning body. Zichen didn't know if this power came from beyond the heavens, but he knew very well that the power of the lightning body was stronger than the perfect body. The cultivation technique was even stronger than what was recorded in the heavenly book. A powerful aura appeared in front of him as a fist wrapped in divine light approached him. The person who threw this punch was a rank 6. He was a newcomer, and had never seen Zichen before. At this moment, he wanted to show off in front of the captain. Therefore, he was the fastest and his attack was the first to arrive. His punch carried an explosive aura and was filled with a destructive aura. Before the punch arrived, the wind from the punch had already arrived. The force whistled over, lifting Zichen's robes. The divine light reflected on his cold face. The strong light suddenly intensified as endless lightning appeared on Zichen's body, making his cold face appear somewhat ferocious. The lightning drowned out the divine light as a loud boom sounded. A strong wave spread out in all directions. The other people who had rushed forward were pushed back by this wave. The rank 6 who was fighting with him also retreated. Zichen stood in place and looked indifferently at the retreating rank 6. The rank 6 retreated hundreds of feet, his eyes fixed on Zichen. The other party's strength was not weak, but it was not very strong either. At least he did not feel that he was no match for him. At this moment, a cry of surprise came from behind him. He turned around and found that the people who had not attacked before were all looking at him, their eyes filled with horror. He was very surprised. Did he look very scary? So he felt a little proud. But soon he realized that something was wrong. So he lowered his head and looked at his body. He saw that the surface of his body was no longer surrounded by divine light, but lightning. At the same time, his body was disappearing under the lightning. He wanted to raise his palm, but then he found in horror that the palm that he had clenched into a fist to attack had disappeared at some point. His body did not feel any pain, but it was disappearing. He cried out in horror. Buzz! In his awareness, divine light shone. His spirit wanted to rush out. But he found that the space of his awareness was also sealed by the power of lightning, and his spirit was also disappearing. When the others around saw this scene, their faces showed horror and they subconsciously retreated. The devil ape and the others were also very shocked. What kind of power was this? How could it be so terrifying? Looking at the rank SIX's body disappearing, Zichen shook his head and sighed. Your strength is not weak, but I still can't grasp the size. Everyone was a little dizzy. He killed the person with one punch, and he was still not satisfied? Yes. The rank 6 disappeared. His physical body, armor, and divine ring all disappeared. Seeing this scene, everyone could not help but think of the power of lightning that they had seen in the ruins. It also disappeared after falling on them. Could it be that the other party had mastered that kind of power? The rank 7 was shocked. If the other party had really mastered that kind of power, then he was definitely no match for him. So he turned around and tried to escape. Can you escape? A cold light flashed in Zichen's eyes. With a speed that was almost like teleportation, he appeared in front of the other party. Get out of my way! The rank 7 shouted and slashed down with his saber. His divine aura completely erupted. Boom! Zichen's fist landed on the saber. The saber shattered immediately. At the same time, the fist light pressed forward and landed on the other party's chest. The upper armor on the other party's body began to distort violently. The defense shattered instantly. His body flew backward. Thunder surged on the surface of his body. The upper armor disappeared in the thunder light. At the same time, a trace of thunder entered the Rank 7's body, destroying the other party's vitality. One punch killed the Rank 7. Looking at the Rank 7's body that did not disappear, Zichen breathed a sigh of relief. If he made people disappear with one punch every time, although it looked spectacular, the loss would be too great. Even now, he still lost a set of upper armor. Zichen's speed was comparable to teleportation. His combat strength was also terrifyingly powerful. Except for a few who fled far away, the others stopped, terrified. Buzz! Zichen's body disappeared from the spot. After a few flashes, he returned to the same place. Those who fled were all killed. Coming closer again, looking at the people in front of him, Zichen said, "Now you should tell me whether this is a coincidence or not. Sir, please spare our lives. We came here because we received the news." A Rank 5 said in horror. "Who spread the news?" Zichen asked. "We don't know. It's said that it came from the Divine Legion." Zichen looked back at Monster Ape and the others. Chapter 2952. Devil Ape and the others had joined the Divine Legion for a long time. After hearing what had happened, Zichen's expression changed slightly. He didn't expect that it would take so long to comprehend a thunder body. He waved his hand. As if they had been pardoned, they bowed respectfully and left. These people were all new to the Blood Scorpion Legion. They had never seen Zichen before, and there was no grudge between them. Therefore, when they saw Zichen kill the 7th rank captain with one punch, they were too scared to run away. As for those who ran away, they were all old people who had seen Zichen before. Some of them had even participated in the previous incident. "Heal your wounds first," Zichen said, looking at everyone who was seriously injured. "No, we have to go back quickly. I suspect that something bad has happened to everyone." Roy seemed a little anxious. "Something bad can happen in the Legion?" Zichen asked, frowning. Devil Ape had only said that he had joined the Legion and didn't say anything else. He didn't have time to say it. Seeing everyone's anxious expressions, Zichen guessed that there must be something else. Therefore, without hesitation, he opened the world and took everyone in. "Roy, tell me the location," Zichen's voice sounded. At this time, his real body was teleporting with the help of the world. He could see tens of thousands of miles away. The doppelganger appeared and stood next to them, listening to what had happened in the past few hundred years. Then, the doppelganger transmitted the information to the real body. "Donder?" A cold light flashed in Zichen's eyes. "What's Donder's realm?" the doppelganger asked Martin. "8th rank," Martin said. He felt endless coldness in Zichen's voice. He was surprised, that was all. He and Lunk used to admire Lord Donder very much. However, what he had done in the past few years was really not admirable. Perhaps it had nothing to do with him, and it was his subordinates who made the decision. However, he must have known about it, and never asked about it. Zichen's expression became increasingly cold. He didn't expect things to be like this. However, he faintly felt that something was wrong. The castle Su Mengyao and the others lived in was refined. It was a spatial treasure, and could be taken away at any time. Although they were in the army's encampment, they were in a relatively remote place, and did not usually interact with others. Monk and the others went out to carry out the mission while Su Mengyao and the others stayed here. During this time, Su Mengyao spread out her spiritual thoughts. Although it was impossible for danger to occur here, because no one dared to make a move against the First Legion, they still had to be on guard. "Sister, are you in danger?" Xuelin came to the front of Su Mengyao and looked at her worriedly. Su Mengyao gently shook her head and said, "This area has an influence on the Qi dynamic. The derivation will be hindered." After coming here, she rarely made deductions because every time she made a deduction, there would be an indescribable force interfering, unless it was something extremely obvious. For example, the last time they went to the ruins, the heavenly mystery seemed to have been affected, causing her deduction to become extremely clear. Because of that, she sensed a strong sense of danger and decisively stopped everyone. A few days ago, she had divined again, and the heavenly secrets were affected again. When Tyrant and the others left, she tried to deduce again, but she still couldn't see clearly. She only saw a blurry image in the end. The people in the image were Tyrant and the others. Other than that, there seemed to be an invisible light. When she saw the light, the heavenly mystery was covered again. After that, she couldn't see anything. She tried again, but it was still to no avail. Although this place didn't seem to be dangerous, Su Mengyao still couldn't calm down. 3 days after Tyrant and the others left, the heavenly mystery dissipated a little, and Su Mengyao didn't seize the opportunity. Not long after, a person stopped at a mountain peak more than 10 miles away from the castle. Master Su Mengyao. He sat down with his legs crossed, and his spiritual sense enveloped the surroundings. A spiritual sense extended here and said, "What's the matter? I'm Kale. Before Master Martin left, he instructed me to inform you in advance if there are any changes in the Legion." Kale transmitted his voice to the void. "We received news that we have to leave tomorrow to explore a ruin." "How many people are going?" Su Mengyao asked. "Everyone in the station will be going." "When did this happen?" "It's been an hour, and I haven't had a chance to come out." "I got it. Thank you." Retracting her spiritual sense, Su Mengyao opened her eyes. A ray of light flashed across her beautiful eyes. "Sienna." Wan Sienna walked out of the room, her clothes fluttering in the wind. Su Mengyao instructed, "Use the sword domain to protect the castle. Don't let anyone find out." Wan Sienna's red lips opened slightly. She was a little surprised, but she didn't ask. The 8 sword ancestor steels disappeared from her side one by one. "Is there danger?" Wan Sienna asked after the sword ancestor steels disappeared into the void, and the sword domain could be activated. "I'm not sure yet, but I'll know later." The next step was to wait. The injured were still healing, and this incident didn't alarm them. The next day, the Divine Legion retreated, but Su Mengyao and the others didn't receive any news. On this day, the entire Legion was empty, and only Su Mengyao and the others were left. On the 3rd day, a group of strangers arrived. Seeing this group of people wearing general armors and black robes, Su Mengyao knew danger was coming. 1. With a slight vibration, the sword domain appeared. A ray of light appeared outside the castle, protecting it. In the castle, everyone felt a pressure and opened their eyes. After a while, Yiqian, Liai, Mingyu, Brilliant, Lin Shui, and Shang Wenyu arrived at the hall. Wan Sienna and Su Mengyao had arrived long ago, and the others were still healing. "Sister, what happened?" Lin Shui asked. "Enemies are coming. Use the sword domain to block them. Everyone, get ready for battle." Su Mengyao looked at the few of them and said. Everyone nodded, and there was no fear on their faces. Although they were women, they were all experts to have made it this far. Among them, Liai had the sky-piercing needle, and Wang Xian had the sword domain. Brilliant and Mingyu were no weaker than Lei Ting and Xingqin. The others also had their own means, and their combat strength wasn't weaker than those who left. It was just that they didn't fight much in the past few years, giving others the illusion that they were weak. Suddenly, ripples appeared in the hall, and the black-robed men outside started attacking the domain. Su Mengyao walked out of the hall, and the others followed behind her. Through the light shield, she looked at the black-robed men, and her line of sight moved slowly. 10 rank 6 and 4 rank 7. They are well prepared. The black-robed men outside saw Su Mengyao and the others through the domain, and the frequency of their attacks increased. Su Mengyao and the others stood in front of the castle. The sword domain was formed by 8 sword ancestral steels, and its defense was extremely strong. After 4 hours of continuous attacks, the domain started to distort. A ray of light flashed across Su Mengyao's eyes. "Sienna, remove the domain. Let's attack directly." After 4 hours, they had consumed a lot of energy, and Su Mengyao decided to take the initiative. At this moment, a ray of brilliance appeared behind the crowd. Chapter 2953. Zichen followed Roy's instructions and used world teleportation. His speed was extremely fast. They flew for several days, but Zichen only used a very short time. Everything happened just in time. His figure appeared. He saw the domain of swords and the people inside through the domain. Su Mengyao stood at the front. She was wearing a set of armor, which was extremely rare. The armor was a light armor, and it perfectly outlined her graceful figure. Behind her, Zichen saw the other women. Everyone was very happy to see him. Zichen smiled. He was naturally happy to see everyone safe. He released his spiritual senses. Except for the castle in front of him, the encampment was empty. Zichen certainly did not believe that this was a coincidence. The 14 black-clothed men in front sensed that someone had appeared and turned around one after another. There was a hint of doubt in their exposed eyes. Obviously, there was no information about this person in the intelligence they had received. Everyone is a guest. Don't leave. As Zichen said this, his figure flashed and rushed toward a rank 7. A cold light shot out from the rank 7's eyes. The aura on his body completely erupted. The black robe on his body was instantly torn apart, revealing the high-grade armor inside. In other directions, powerful auras surged. It was the 3 rank 7 and 10 rank 6. They all shattered the black robes on their bodies, revealing their strongest auras. Divine light lingered, and powerful auras surged all around. Whoosh! 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 The next moment, they rushed towards Zichen. All kinds of powerful attacks shrouded the world, blocking all paths of Zichen. Facing these attacks, Zichen's expression did not change. Lightning surged on his body. One attack after another landed on his body and exploded, causing no harm to him. In other words, he directly used his body to crash into those attacks without any damage. The pupils of the surrounding divine generals instantly shrank, and their expressions changed. They felt extremely incredulous. How could a person without armor have such powerful defense? In the sky full of attacks, Zichen broke through a gap and arrived in front of the rank 7. The rank 7 roared angrily and slammed his palm down. Above the palm print, divine light surged, and the lines were activated. A terrifying aura fell on Zichen, bringing with it a frightening pressure. Facing this kind of pressure, Zichen didn't seem to have any reaction. He just punched out. The lightning-infused fist landed on the palm print. Following a powerful shockwave, the palm print exploded. The fist was still strong, the lightning on the surface of the body did not seem to have any wear and tear, landing on the rank 7. Rank 7's expression was cold and harsh. He did not think that the other could destroy this high-quality armor. There was a loud boom. The defense of the armor shattered in an instant. A ray of lightning rippled in all directions, and this rank 7's body flew backwards. As he flew backward, the armor on his body was visibly destroyed, and the power of thunder entered his body. This rank 7 coughed up blood and fell to the ground, his aura quickly fading away. At this moment, the other attacks landed on Zichen, but Zichen didn't move. He activated his lightning physique, and boundless lightning swept out like a tidal wave, engulfing the attacks. The sound of thunder was deafening. One by one, figures flew out from it. Those who appeared had a face full of horror. Looking at the armor defense on the surface of their bodies, it was all shattered. There were even a few people's armors that were disappearing under the destruction of the lightning. Fortunately, they were all still alive and did not die like the rank 7 from before. Through the field of swords, after the girls saw Zichen's powerful combat strength, they were shocked but also very excited. This kind of powerful combat strength that could kill a rank 7 with one punch was enough for them to gain a foothold in this area. They no longer had to fear the Blood Scorpion Legion. It was time for them to leave the Divine Legions. Compared to the excited girls in the field, the people outside the field of swords were cold. They couldn't see through the opponent's strength, and most importantly, it was too terrifying. "Let's go!" Rank 7 shouted and turned to leave. If they didn't leave now, they would all be killed. Obviously, the news was wrong, and it was not their fault. Those who come are guests. Why should you leave? Zichen's voice was very cold. His figure rushed forward again, toward the second rank 7. At the same time, the god's avatar appeared, holding a long spear and wearing a high-grade armor. He rushed toward those people. Lightning flashed on the surface of his body from time to time. It was not that he had mastered the lightning, but that he was using it to temper his body. His bones were heavenly god bones, so naturally, they were powerful. What he lacked now was only a physical body. Roars sounded everywhere, and lightning sputtered. Another rank 7 fell and died. Looking at this scene, the corners of Zichen's eyes twitched slightly. A high-grade armor was very precious. However, he still could not control the lightning power skillfully, so after he attacked, the armor would shatter. Poof! The long spear in the avatar's hand pierced through the neck of a rank 6. Surging energy surged into the body, destroying the opponent's soul. Swoosh! Swoosh! Powerful attacks were displayed continuously, and a terrifying aura shook heaven and earth. None of the 4 rank 7 escaped. They were all killed by Zichen, and so were the 10 rank 6. The battle was over. The field of swords disappeared, and Zichen's figure landed. You came back just in time. Are they all right? Su Mengyao stepped forward and asked. Obviously, the unpredictable light she saw before should be Zichen's return. They were injured, but their lives are not in danger. Light flashed, and Monk and the others appeared. What's going on? Zichen looked at the empty encampment and asked. Where are the others? They left yesterday. It's said that they went to explore some ruins. Su Mengyao said. It was Martin's men who sent the news. We made preparations in advance. Zichen looked at Martin gratefully and said. So that's what happened. His figure soared into the sky and arrived above the encampment. The place was already empty. He opened the world, which shrouded the surroundings. The next moment, the space fluctuated. As if 2 different spaces crossed each other, the buildings in the encampment were directly separated, and the next moment, they were turned into dust by the vibrating space power. In an instant, the entire encampment was turned into ruins. This move alone was shocking enough. Are we leaving this place? Su Mengyao looked at Zichen flying back and asked. No, destroying the encampment is only the first step. Next, we have to settle old scores. Zichen looked at Martin and Lunk and said, Martin, Lunk, you two can leave first. I'm not done with the army yet. You don't have to get involved. Martin sighed and said, The army is no longer the same army. I also have thoughts of quitting. This time, I'll stay with everyone. Lunk, what about you? Lunk said, Me too. I don't want to stay in an army that schemed against its own people. Speaking of which, Su Mengyao and the others did not let the army down. Every time they returned from a mission, they would give the army 10% more resources than the other teams. In the previous trip to the ruins, they even tried to persuade the army. They did not expect to be targeted. All right, you guys heal yourselves. We'll wait for them to return. Chapter 2954. The returning Divine Legion's divine generals were all very frustrated. They had gone out for several days on the pretext of exploring the ruins, but when they arrived, the ruins had already disappeared. Everyone was discussing spiritedly, feeling very disappointed. Where is our encampment? A voice suddenly rang out, followed by a man looking ahead in astonishment. The others also looked ahead, only to see that the original encampment had disappeared, leaving only ruins behind. Looking at this scene, boundless anger rose in the hearts of the Divine Legion. How dare someone behave so atrociously in the encampment of the Divine Legion? They noticed a man standing above the ruins, which made them even angrier. The other party had destroyed the encampment, but instead of running away, he was standing there, obviously provoking them. They even suspected that this was a conspiracy against the Divine Legion. The ruins were fake, and the real purpose was to lure them away and destroy the encampment. They sped up. During this time, some people recognized Zichen, and their expressions changed. Several hundred years ago, many people had gone to the ruins, and they had witnessed Zichen's performance. The Blood Scorpion Corps had suffered heavy losses because of him, and he himself had died in the lightning crack. Just as they were vaguely guessing something, a shout came from the front. "Tell Donder to get out here!" Hearing this shout, the Divine Legion's members were somewhat dazed. Lord Donder was the number 2 figure in the Legion, second only to Lord Wesley. How dare this person speak to him with such an attitude? Looking at the ruins in the distance, and then thinking of Zichen's identity, they vaguely understood something. At this moment, Monk and the others flew over from the distance. Everyone in their team had come out, and many of them had not recovered from their injuries. At this moment, even more people understood the reason for the other party's shout. Everyone knew that Lord Donder had been targeting Monk's team for a long time. This time, everyone had gone to explore the ruins, but Monk's team did not go. Many people guessed that it was because they had suffered heavy losses that they did not bring them. Now that the ruins had not been found, and the encampment was gone, the other party had shouted at Donder to get out, which seemed to explain many things. "Donder, get out here!" Zichen's voice reverberated in the wilderness like rolling thunder. "Courting death!" A furious shout came from the distance. "How dare you call Lord Donder's name?" Zichen stared at that immortal general as cold light flickered in his eyes. "Go tell Donder to come here right now, or you will die. I was wondering who could be so arrogant." "So it's you." An indifferent voice sounded. Drew walked out from the crowd. He looked at Zichen and said, "Speaking of which, it's been hundreds of years. I didn't expect you to still be alive. I have to say, you're really lucky." The monk on the side said, "Drew, your Lord Buddha said that he didn't kill you because he was waiting for Zichen to come back and kill you. If I were you, I would either run away with my tail between my legs or kneel down and kowtow to Zichen until he spares me. Speaking of which, your arrogance is purely because you have a death wish." Druid snorted and said, "The one saying this should be your master Lu, right? You only have 20 people, yet you dare to destroy the army's encampment and provoke the entire army. If you kneel down and kowtow now, you might still have a chance to live. If not..." Drew didn't want to suffer losses in front of the monk. Every time he addressed himself as Master Lu, but the title of Lord Zeng still made him very angry. "If not, you'll have to die too." Before he finished speaking, Zichen said coldly and rushed toward Drew. "You're courting death." Drew didn't say anything. Around him, figures rushed out one after another. These people were all rank 7 and wore upper-grade armor. Obviously, they were all captains. At the same time, the few grade 7 experts beside Drew stepped forward and blocked Zichen's path. Zichen didn't stop. Lightning flashed on his body and he rushed forward. Boom! His fist collided with a rank 7. A violent vibration sounded and the rank 7 was directly sent flying. Lightning surged on his weapon. The next moment, the weapon turned into ashes in the lightning. At the same time, the lightning covered his whole body. The angry roar he let out earlier turned into a scream. The scream became more and more shrill and finally disappeared. A rank 7 captain was dead. Sensing the disappearance of the rank 7 captain's aura, everyone was shocked and shocked. However, at this time, Zichen had already attacked twice. Another 2 rank 7 were sent flying. The rank 7s who were sent flying had lightning flashing on their bodies. This time, Zichen didn't think about controlling these lightning powers. It was purely for the sake of killing. "It's lightning!" Back then, he entered the lightning rift. "I didn't expect to obtain that kind of lightning power!" Exclamations sounded from all around. Those who had entered the ruins and walked out alive naturally knew how terrifying the lightning power was. Now Zichen was using lightning. It was the same aura as the lightning that surged out back then. Its power was equally terrifying. Drew, who had a smug look on his face at first, was now dumbfounded. Fear showed on his face, and he retreated backward. He didn't expect Zichen to become so terrifying. Bang! Bang! At this moment, a few more people were sent flying. The rank 7s who flew over earlier were all killed. Those rank SIXs who rushed out from behind Drew retreated in fear. Swoosh! Zichen turned into lightning and rushed forward. His speed was extremely fast. Like a thunder dragon, he rushed past these rank SIXs. Just as these rank SIXs were rejoicing, thinking that Zichen wouldn't kill them, they saw boundless lightning erupting from Zichen's body, enveloping those rank SIXs around him. The lightning roared. A terrifying aura shook. These rank SIXs were sent flying. When they were sent flying, these people were tainted by lightning. They screamed in fear. Hearing their companions' screams, the others didn't save them. Instead, they retreated one by one in extreme fear. They had a lot of people, but they couldn't withstand this kind of battle that was almost called a massacre. Boom! Drowned by the lightning, those rank SIXs died in their screams. Behind them, Monk and the others didn't attack. They were also very shocked by Zichen's powerful combat strength. Although Zichen was very strong before, he was definitely not as strong as he was now. That kind of lightning power was extraordinary. It seemed that Zichen had completely mastered it. Drew was already fleeing in fear. However, his speed naturally couldn't be faster than Zichen's. Lightning flashed. Zichen came in front of Drew and punched. Boom! There was a huge shock of energy. A powerful wave spread in all directions. Zichen retreated in this wave. In front of him stood a cold man. The other party was wearing a battle armor. The battle armor's aura was extremely strong. It was a custom-made battle armor. Drew didn't die. The previous attack was blocked by the other party. You're Donder? Chapter 2955. When Donder arrived and saw the ruins in front of him, he understood everything. However, he didn't know Zichen. He had never seen him before, let alone know who he was, so he asked, "Who are you?" The members of the Legion scattered. At this moment, their faces were filled with horror. Zichen's battle prowess was too strong. Among the members of the Legion, perhaps only Lord Donder and Lord Wesley could suppress him. "I'm the one who wants your life." A cold light flashed in Zichen's eyes. Without any nonsense, he rushed toward Donder. "Arrogant!" Donder's eyes turned cold. Divine light burst out from his custom-made armor as he punched out. This punch, carrying a powerful aura, collided with the fist surging with thunderbolts. With a loud bang, powerful fluctuations spread out. Zichen and Donder both retreated. At this moment, thunderbolts flashed on the surface of Zichen's body, destroying all the divine light that tried to invade his body. On the other hand, those thunderbolts couldn't invade Donder's body. This blow was evenly matched, causing an uproar in the surroundings. "You can block my blow with a mere 7th-stage physique. It seems that your strength is of a high grade." Donder looked at Zichen and said indifferently. Zichen smiled coldly. Thunderbolts surged on his body again. At this moment, he activated the 9 passing thunderbolts to the limit. In a flash, he appeared beside Donder. "Humph!" Donder snorted. He clenched his fist and attacked. Divine light illuminated the surroundings. Another rumbling sound was heard, and Zichen's body was sent flying backwards. Swish! As soon as he stabilized himself, he disappeared again. Thunderbolts shrouded the surroundings. With booming sounds, his attacks fell on Donder again and again. Donder stood there, calmly resisting. Divine light kept sputtering. Powerful fluctuations spread out like rolling waves in the sea. Everyone in the distance retreated one after another. Donder was an 8th-stage physique. In addition, he was wearing a custom-made armor. His battle prowess was extremely strong. He was the second in command in the Legion. In everyone's eyes, his strength was a matter of course. At the moment, Zichen, who was only at level 7, was actually able to tie with Donder without the help of the armor, which was very incredible. In the distance, Tyrant and the others were very satisfied with this battle. They did not expect Zichen to be able to kill Donder, but as long as he was not weaker than Donder, no one in this area would dare to provoke them. This naturally included the Blood Scorpion Corps. Divine Flame Palm! A shout that belonged to Donda resounded. The aura in front of them suddenly changed. A blazing aura suddenly erupted from the divine light that filled the sky. It was as if flames were burning, converging into a huge palm print that slammed down towards Zichen. Boom! The palm of God exploded, and the divine energy dispersed in all directions. Zichen's body retreated in the air. Lightning shot out from his body in all directions, neutralizing the powerful force contained in that palm strike. You are no match for me. Donda stared at Zichen in his custom-made battle armor and said coldly. Really? Zichen smiled, but his smile became somewhat cold. He clenched his fists, and the power of lightning surged on his fists again. A trace of disdain flashed through Donda's eyes. This was the move his opponent had used before. Boom! However, in the next moment, the power in Zichen's body became violent. The boundless lightning was mixed with yin and yang lightning. Zichen had used his strongest power. Swish! With a speed comparable to teleportation, he arrived in front of Donda. Donda reacted quickly. He turned around and slapped down with his palm. The palm print met the lightning, which contained the power of yin and yang. With a loud boom, the energy dispersed in all directions. Donda, who had been standing in the same place, retreated backward. Looking at Zichen, he only swayed his body and neutralized that powerful force. What? Seeing this, the faces of the people in the distance changed greatly, especially Drew. He did not expect Zichen to become so terrifying. Swish! Zichen moved again. He arrived in front of Donda and punched out again. His fist, which was filled with an extremely violent aura, fell on Donda. This punch was so fast that Donda did not have time to block it. His body was hit by the punch. A ripple appeared on his custom-made battle armor, which blocked the punch. However, his body was sent flying backward. Being sent flying in front of so many subordinates, Donda was furious. With a flash of light, a long sword appeared in his hand. He held the sword with his right hand. The patterns on the sword lit up, and so did the patterns on the custom-made battle armor. His essence, chi, and spirit had all reached the peak at this moment. He slashed down with the sword. This sword blocked the space, making Zichen feel great pressure. The sword light was very fast. In the blink of an eye, it had arrived above his head. There was nowhere to dodge. Swish! With a flash of light, the long saber was unsheathed and blocked above his head. Buzz! The saber and the sword met. A powerful fluctuation spread out with a destructive aura, causing the surrounding space to distort crazily. Holding the saber in his right hand to block the long sword, Zichen clenched his left hand into a fist and punched forward. At this moment, Donda also slapped down with his palm. The palm print was surrounded by divine light and emitted a blazing aura. Boom! With a burst of thunderbolts, Donda was sent flying by Zichen. After using all his strength, Zichen's fighting capacity was much stronger than Donda's. Puff! Donda, who was sent flying backward, coughed up a mouthful of blood. His face was full of shock. Obviously, he did not expect that he, an 8th-level warrior, would be injured by a 7th-level warrior. Moreover, this 7th-level warrior was not wearing battle armor. If he wore battle armor, wouldn't he be more vulnerable? Seeing this scene, Monk and the others in the distance were very excited. However, Kang Emo was the most excited. Zichen's fighting capacity was so strong now. If he could refine a suit of battle armor for Zichen, his fighting capacity would be much stronger than now. He would definitely be able to defeat Donda. Actually, he also hated Donda very much. Putting the long saber back into its sheath, Zichen walked toward Donda. His pace was not very fast, but it gave Donda great pressure. He was accumulating power. The light of yin and yang and the lightning on his body were shining. His aura was getting stronger and stronger. He was like a person walking toward the top of the mountain. The next moment, he arrived at the top of the mountain. He looked around and saw that all the mountains were small. He had accumulated power to the peak. Holding the long saber in his right hand, he pulled it out of its sheath. The loud sound of the saber resounded through heaven and earth. A streak of light fell down, carrying an aura that had reached its limit. This saber strike, in terms of speed and power, had reached Zichen's best state. It was also his strongest strike. In addition to the 3 kinds of energy, there were 8 saber intents. The only thing lacking was the enhancement of the saber realm. Donder shouted and raised his sword to block the attack. There was a boom. Donder was sent flying backward. The long sword in his hand was broken. On his chest, a long saber mark appeared on the special battle armor. Puff! Flying backward for dozens of feet, Donder coughed up blood again. Chapter 2956. Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect Zichen to be so formidable. He was only in the 7th class, but he could hurt Lord Donder. Also, even Lord Donder's special armor had a crack on it. If it weren't for the special armor, he would have been killed. Drew was terrified. He didn't expect that Zichen could come back alive. He didn't expect that Zichen could be so formidable after coming back alive. At this moment, Zichen held the long saber with his right hand again, and his aura rose to the peak again. The quiet surroundings suddenly burst into an uproar. Was he going to kill Lord Donder? Swish! The long saber was unsheathed. A dazzling light appeared in everyone's eyes. They saw the saber slanting toward the sky. Just as everyone was incomparably shocked, they saw the slanted blades suddenly change direction and fall backwards. The saber light extended into the distance, cut through the sky, and flew toward the crowd in the distance like a rainbow. Puff! At the front of the crowd, Drew widened his eyes, which were full of horror. The saber light that looked like a waterfall disappeared before his eyes. A blood-red light appeared on his body from between his eyebrows and extended downwards. The next moment, his body separated and fell to the ground. Next to Drew, the others fled in horror. Zichen's attack was not aimed at Lord Donder. Instead, it landed on Drew's body from a very far distance. Furthermore, it successfully killed Drew, who was at rank 7. In fact, Donder knew very well that the saber was indeed aimed at him, but Zichen suddenly changed his mind. As for the reason, it was because of the person in front of him. Wei Li showed up. Zichen had seen him once, which was why he changed the direction of the saber. He knew very well that with Wei Li there, the saber couldn't kill Donder. Who are you? Wei Li stared at Zichen in front of him with a grave expression. The 2 number 1 on the ranking list of generals, who were separated by many generations, met face to face. It doesn't matter, Zichen said indifferently, coldness flashing in his eyes. Wei Li scanned the surroundings with his spiritual thoughts, and found that the station had been reduced to ruins. He asked, "Did you do this?" "That's right," Zichen replied. "I need to know the reason." Wei Li's voice turned cold. He didn't lose his temper immediately. This time, Zichen didn't say anything. He just narrowed his eyes and his aura rose again. It was clear that he was about to attack again. Wei Li turned to look at Donder and asked, "What the hell is going on?" "I don't know either. As soon as we came back, we saw that the ruins had disappeared. He started a massacre here and killed a lot of people," Donder said. Zichen said coldly, "Donder, you really want to die? Now, no one can save you." As soon as Zichen's voice fell, 8 saber ancestors' steels appeared. The saber domain was instantly formed, and an oppressive aura circulated within the domain. "How dare you!" Wei Li shouted as divine light erupted from his body. His aura was extremely terrifying, causing the entire domain of blades to tremble. "No one can stop me from killing him!" Zichen's eyes flashed with killing intent. In the air above his domain, world law energy descended, enveloping Wei Li. Wei Li's speed was affected, and his powerful aura weakened a little. Zichen pulled out his saber again. This time, the saber light was even more powerful. Boom! In the energy shock, Donder's special armor burst into pieces. His body flew backward and smashed heavily against the barrier. He coughed up blood again and again, a look of horror on his face. Outside the domain, those who saw this scene were even more frightened. Zichen had broken Donda's special armor with one saber strike. Feeling Zichen's killing intent, Wei Li was both shocked and angry. He turned around and stared at Donda, whose aura was weak in the distance, and shouted, "Donda, what the hell is going on? Do you want to destroy the Legion of Gods?" Donda's face was extremely pale, and he coughed up blood again. Wei Li's expression changed greatly. He must have heard Donda's voice transmission and learned the truth. He looked back at Zichen. Zichen stared at Wei Li and said, "You're very powerful, but I can kill you. If you stop me, I'll kill you even if I have to risk my life." Wei Li's expression kept changing. Being threatened, he was naturally angry, but there was also a touch of fear in his heart. After a moment of silence, Wei Li said, "This is a misunderstanding." Zichen shook his head and said, "There's no misunderstanding. If he wants to kill someone, I'll kill him. He's just an executor, not the one behind the scenes," Wei Li said. Zichen looked at Wei Li. "This time, it's not what you think. His target is that native in your team." Wei Li's words made Zichen's expression change. "If I'm not wrong, his surname should be Kang, right? He's a member of the Kang family, and he's also a natural-born refiner." Wei Li's expression was very complicated as he said, "This is all for that refiner." "Why?" Zichen asked. Wei Li said, "This involves the grievances between the natives. It's not something that can be explained in 1 or 2 sentences." "You think I'll let him go just because you say that?" Zichen said coldly. Wei Li then told him what had happened. It turned out that after Su Mingyao told him the result of her deduction, Donda was very surprised, so he wanted to pull her into the team. But when he noticed Su Mingyao, he found that she was actually wearing a set of custom-made armor, which made him very surprised. After some investigation, he found out that there was a member of the Kang family in their team. All these years, the army had been targeting Su Mingyao and the others, and he had turned a blind eye to it. There were too many people in the army. Although unintentional targeting was criticized, it didn't matter. If they directly killed them, it would naturally cause public anger. Therefore, Monk and the others often went out on missions, leading to more and more injured people. This time, the higher-ups urged them to do so they thought of this method to destroy everyone in one fell swoop. Of course, the murder was not fake, so Donda still deserved to die. Zichen's expression was extremely cold. Wei Li said, "The one who really schemed against you was the Yu family of Heaven Road City. The Yu family is the biggest force. The mercenaries of gods were hired by the Yu family, and our armor was also obtained from the Yu family. Donda was in the wrong this time, but your people came to the army to seek protection. Before we found the Kang family, we naturally didn't make things difficult for you." "Where is Heaven Road City?" Zichen asked. He could understand the meaning of Wei Li's words. He wanted to use the protection of these years in exchange for Donda's life. "It's in the core area of this area. But I advise you not to go there for the time being, because you can't teleport there. You can only walk there. During this period, you will encounter all kinds of heavenly beasts. It's very dangerous." Wei Li looked at Zichen and said, "The most important thing is that the Yu family is very powerful and controls many experts here. You may not be afraid, but your friends may not." Swish! Zichen dispersed the blade domain, turned around and walked away. Donda, who had been silent, finally breathed a sigh of relief. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.